acting capacity. It means I'm watching you. That is what it means. Now, the Attorney General is a party man. Then you have a lawyer nominated, that one impartial, a representative of police, very well. 2 members of the police service appointed by the president. So who is that? Those people. Once they are appointed by the president, you know where they are coming from. Then 2 other members appointed by the president. So the whole composition of the police council is the president and is the party. Why will you give us this and think that we should be professional? You cannot. There's no way you can have a professional police service. It is party politics. And that is why we have become a chess in the hands of the government. Whether it's MPP or NDC, we are chess in their hands. And they are playing political games. That is why no party in opposition can trust the government, can trust the police. Because of what you do with us. And so once you move into opposition, you are scared that the same thing you do with us, the other party will do with us. So there is a need for constitutional amendment. And I propose that if we really want a long-term solution to this vigilantism, one major thing is that the president must be appointed for a fixed, the IGP must be appointed for a fixed term of, with approval of Parliament to exercise independent control. There's a need for an independent police service commission to replace the current police council. And grounds upon which an IGP can be removed should be spelled out so that the IGP's removal from office cannot be based on the whims and caprices of appointing authority. That the Minister of Interior can only give directives to the IGP in writing on matters of policy, but not as to how the IGP must do his work. This will make the police loyal to the Constitution instead of particular governments. All right. Now, this is the composition of the police council in Ghana. The vice president is a party man. It doesn't matter whether it's MPP or NDC. This is what we have given us, and this is what we work with. Now, a minister responsible for internal affairs, who is he? He's a party man. Then you have an Inspector General of Police appointed by the president. The president can dismiss him at any point in time, and therefore his loyalty is partial. It doesn't matter whether he was appointed by MPP or NDC. His loyalty is divided. Because he can be appointed today and dismissed tomorrow. And the worst scenario is when he is appointed to be acting capacity. It means I'm watching you. That is what it means. Now, the Attorney General is a party man. Then you have a lawyer nominated, that one impartial, a representative of police, very well. 2 members of the police service appointed by the president. So who is that? Those people. Once they are appointed by the president, you know where they are coming from. Then 2 other members appointed by the president. So the whole composition of the police council is the president and is the party. Why will you give us this and think that we should be professional? You cannot. There's no way you can have a professional police service. It is party politics. And that is why we have become a chess in the hands of the government. Whether it's MPP or NDC, we are chess in their hands. And they are playing political games. That is why no party in opposition can trust the government, can trust the police. Because of what you do with us. And so once you move into opposition, you are scared that the same thing you do with us, the other party will do with us. So there is a need for constitutional amendment. And I propose that if we really want a long-term solution to this vigilantism, one major thing is that the president must be appointed for a fixed, the IGP must be appointed for a fixed term of, with approval of Parliament to exercise independent control. There's a need for an independent police service commission to replace the current police council. And grounds upon which an IGP can be removed should be spelled out so that the IGP's removal from office cannot be based on the whims and caprices of appointing authority. That the Minister of Interior can only give directives to the IGP in writing on matters of policy, but not as to how the IGP must do his work. This will make the police loyal to the Constitution instead of particular governments.
Policemen should not brutalize suspects. as in the Constitution. Policemen should not involve themselves in cases which are civil in nature. Policemen, as much as it is practicable, should investigate cases with the alacrity that it deserves. Policemen should not conduct themselves in such a way that their own personal interests will override the organizational interests. And policemen should be objective and fair in their interaction with the public. If all these things are done and done well, then it will have a consequential effect in helping to investigate cases well, helping to expedite cases so that the civilians will have relief, and also help the police to arrest criminals without considering their own personal interests or personal aggrandizement. In this direction, and with the support of the Inspector General of Police, and in line with our transformation agenda, the Professional Standards Unit has decided to now go out and look out for some of these malfeasance and enforce the police procedures to the latter.
Apolisifoɔ no ani bere wɔ ho.
This is wrong. This is purely wrong. This is wrong.
Apolisifoɔ no ani bere wɔ ho.
This is wrong. This is purely wrong. This is wrong.
In 2018, Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame hinted of activities involving some persons allegedly involved in attempts at overthrowing the government. ACP Dr. Agojo and the 8 other accused persons were charged on April 24, 2021 for conspiracy to high treason, abetment to high treason and high treason. A 10th accused person, Dr. Frederick Yao Macpam, the CEO of Citadel Hospital, died during the trial. The court then expunged his records following a confirmation of his death. The accused persons are said to belong to an association called Take Action Ghana and had plotted 2 state demonstrations with the aim to topple the government. The prosecution said on July 2019, a blacksmith from Alavanyo in the Volta region was contacted to manufacture 22 explosives, 6 ammunitions and 5 pistols for the group. The late Dr. Macpam and another accused person, Donya Kafui, were arrested after test firing at the Teshi military shooting range. A search was conducted on the premises of the Citadel Hospital, which allegedly uncovered 6 unregistered pistols, 1 registered pistol, 22 explosives, 3 grenades, 63 rounds of ammunition, 2 empty AK-47 magazines, and other machines used in manufacturing weapons. A 3-member justices panel presided by Justice Eviasewa Asaribotre sat on the case.
Has exonerated him, will sue the state for compensation, because this case has always been frivolous against him from day one.
That means that you are considering a malicious prosecution?
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll look at malicious prosecution and all the other causes of action, because this case against Dr. Agojo has always been frivolous to the highest degree from day one, and the Attorney General knows it. It doesn't lie in the mouth of the Attorney General to say that. It doesn't lie in his mouth. When he was in opposition as part of AFAG, he wanted to go on a demonstration. President Mills had to step in. The police stopped them. President Mills had to step in to say he has a right to demonstrate. So why won't there's a police officer? He didn't say he was going to demonstrate himself. He was just teaching, or let's say giving advice to intended demonstrators on following the law, following due process, that they should apply to inform the police. You know, under the Public Order Act, you have to inform the police 5 days ahead, etc. All those things, right? Yes, so that was all that Agodjo sought to do. Yes, that was all that he sought to do.
Oh yes, I think I've spoken to them. I think one of my clients has been acquitted and discharged. I believe that the evidence we have put before this court, they hadn't critically looked at some of the cross-examination and evidence, some of the loopholes. And I think that it's a process. We would definitely be going to the Supreme Court for it to also look at the evidence. We believe that some of the charges, you saw the soldiers, it was conspiracy, but they've been acquitted on the substantive charge. So these are things that we will test. We will go to the Supreme Court and see. But I believe that looking at what we have put before this court, we have done it, and we will go to the Court of Appeal. Today is really, really a sad day because, yes, because it's a sad day. If you even look, they don't even have an inventory when they arrested the people to show that the gun, the pipes they are talking about were the people who had it. So I think that they are in good spirit, and we'll see what we'll do.
Side. Now we see heavy military from the army come to the floor of the house, and there seems to be agitation by the NDC caucus legislators. They are really concerned why the army would move here to try to bring tension. And this seems to arise a lot of concerns by the NDC caucus. And now the chair, the clerk, has been moved out from the chamber. He's been escorted out. And now there seems to be a battle between the legislators and the Ghana Armed Forces. We see the NDC legislators engage in a heated argument. And we see the police service is trying to take the Ghana Armed Forces away from the chamber. It seems to be an intimidation from the Ghana Armed Forces on their part, because for them to enter the chamber is very worrying. And they are being pushed away. Currently. And you hear chanting sounds on the side of the NDC was chanting away, away, away to the Ghana Armed Force personnel. And Ghana Armed Force, when they enter, they seem to have their weaponry on them, which is very worrying. They are in vests, coming in catapults, but the Interior Minister is right behind them. And the Defense Minister, Dominic Nitu, was also here in prayer. What is he saying about that? Is he going to call his voice to order? But the Ghana Armed Force personnel are still here. They are not going away. They are trying to man the balance. But the NDC legislators are currently in a standoff with them, trying to voice their misgivings on why they have to march to the chamber. And now we see pockets of exchanges among the NDC legislators.
It's sad it has got to this point, but you know, I've heard a number of our colleagues express that this is absolutely unnecessary. Like the heavy military presence we are seeing now shouldn't be the case, because already we've heard from the minority members in Parliament, even yesterday, during when the president was about to deliver the State of the Nation address, you know, talk about
the raised concerns on why the heavy armed personnel are gathering around.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is the composition of the police council in Ghana. The vice president is a party man. It doesn't matter whether it's MPP or NDC. This is what we have given us, and this is what we work with. Now, a minister responsible for internal affairs, who is he? He's a party man. Then you have an Inspector General of Police appointed by the president. The president can dismiss him at any point in time, and therefore his loyalty is partial. It doesn't matter whether he was appointed by MPP or NDC. His loyalty is divided. Because he can be appointed today and dismissed tomorrow. And the worst scenario is when he is appointed to be acting capacity. It means I'm watching you. That is what it means. Now, the Attorney General is a party man. Then you have a lawyer nominated that one penny, impartial, a representative of police, very well. 2 members of the police service appointed by the president. So who is that? Those people. Once they are appointed by the president, you know where they are coming from. Then 2 other members appointed by the president. So the whole composition of the police council is the president. And it's the party. Why will you give us this and think that we should be professional? You cannot. There's no way you can have a professional police service. It is party politics. And that is why we have become a chess in the hands of the government. Whether it's MPP or NDC, we are chess in their hands. And they are playing political games. That is why no party in opposition can trust the government, can trust the police. Because of what you do with us. And so once you move into opposition, you are scared that the same thing you do with us, the other party will do with us. So there is a need for constitutional amendment. And I propose that if we really want a long-term solution to this vigilantism, one major thing is that the president must be appointed for a fixed, the IGP must be appointed for a fixed term with approval of Parliament to exercise independent control. There's a need for an independent police service commission to replace the current police council. And grounds upon which an IGP can be removed should be spelled out so that the IGP's removal from office cannot be based on the whims and caprices of appointing authority. That the Minister of Interior can only give directives to the IGP in writing on matters of policy, but not as to how the IGP must do his work. This will make the police loyal to the Constitution instead of particular governments.
Has exonerated him, will sue the state for compensation. Because this case has always been frivolous against him from day one.
That means that you are considering a malicious prosecution?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll look at malicious prosecution and all the other causes of action, because this case against Dr. Agboje has always been frivolous to the highest degree from day one. And the Attorney General knows it. It doesn't lie in the mouth of the Attorney General to say that. It doesn't lie in his mouth. When he was in opposition as part of AFAG, he wanted to go on a demonstration. President Mills had to step in. The police stopped them. President Mills had to step in to say he has a right to demonstrate. So why won't there's a police officer? He didn't say he was going to demonstrate himself. He was just teaching, or let's say giving advice to intended demonstrators on following the law, following due process that they should apply to inform the police. You know, under the Public Order Act, you have to inform the police 5 days ahead, etc. All those things, right? Yes, so that was all that Agboje sought to do. Yes, that was all that he sought to do.
Oh, yes, I think I've spoken to them.
What is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief? Number one, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number two, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob. But you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you. Because we choose them. We vote them. We blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our job, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame.
If you reach a certain stage in life and there is nobody who can look you in the eye and tell you the truth, you are doomed. And that is where our country has gotten to. We need to rescue this country. Wallahi. And I feel very terrible as a Ghanaian at this time. This country is in serious trouble, ladies and gentlemen. We are in serious trouble. We need to rescue this country, ladies and gentlemen. The presidency has been so depraved, so so muddied, so dirtied, that I tell you in all sincerity as a Ghanaian, that I feel terribly sad today as a Ghanaian. We need to rescue this country. Wallahi, inshallah.
Please don't cry.
We shall rescue our country.
Government is broke, government is broke. But people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Right, hello, good morning and welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. It's a Thursday, the 25th day of January, 2024. By His grace, we're alive and we're here. We're at another edition of the show. Our gratitude to go to the Most High God for the very privilege of being alive and, of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into a panel for the morning's conversation shortly, but let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic. Coup plot. 6 to die, 3 acquitted. Looted Asante relics returning home. Many women opting for C-section, worrying. Ghana Health Service. $900 million World Bank support. Government receives first tranche, $300 million. The Ghanaian Times. Attempted coup plot, 6 to hang for treason. ACP Agwojo. 2 others freed. World Bank approves $300 million for Ghana to promote economic growth. Hilton sacked after Ghana AFCON group stage exit. GRA targets $146 billion in 2024. Daily Guide. Big 6 coup plotters to hang, 3 acquitted. Ghana Estonia hold digitalization talks. Hajj season begins. Asabi calls for probe into Mills's death. US-based Ghanaian immigration lawyer sued for fraud. The New Crusading Guide. 6 Ghanaians sentenced to death by hanging for treason. Asante Achim South NPP delegates endorse Obuo ahead of NPP parliamentary elections. Akwe family takes possession of properties in Wakpo per High Court order. Rejoined Against MCE on rampage. MCE writes back. Court orders for substituted service against Abi National and 2 others. NPP Ekwapim South primaries. Delegates root for Eric Yeboah Apiedu. The Insight. Genocide in Gaza. Ghanaians mobilize in solidarity with Palestine and demand ceasefire against Israeli atrocities. Ghana's democracy threatened by corruption. Julius Malema. SMG salutes Amilcar Cabral, a great leader of the Pan-African Revolution. Electricity tax. TUC gives government 7 days to withdraw VAT or else. At last, the High Court bailiffs assist Wakpo family to possess properties. Bantma MP. Francis Asenso Boachi confident of securing victory in NPP primary. The Daily Statesman. 6 sentenced to death for coup plot. Asabi, autopsy will bring closure to Mills's death. President extends period for GRA SML audit by KPMG. Kwesi Kwarteng tip to win Asante Achim North. Black Stars fans demand resignation of GFA boss. COP Kofi Boachi joins Mohammed's campaign. The New Finder. Blueprint to save Ghana football abandoned despite capturing it in Jamefe Commission's report. PNM calls for vibrant, truthful media with integrity. Bond market performance hinges on reducing inflation, Professor Agloyo. President Akufo-Addo extends SML audit deadline. And that's about it for the front pages. We'll be back shortly.
MTN.
Discover the perfect blend of quality, modern elegance, and affordability with Kingdom Home Real Estate. At Kingdom Home Real Estate, we cater to both local and international clients, offering exceptional housing options in Ebri and Ekropong. Our properties are conveniently located, providing a tranquil atmosphere, top-notch security, and essential amenities such as electricity, water, and backup generators. Our strategic locations offer easy access to popular tourist destinations, all within a 30-minute drive from Accra. Visit us in Ekropon, right after the Latte Junction, or in Ebri, near the Ebri Girls Senior High School. Alternatively, you can reach us Kingdom Home Real Estate, where your dream home becomes a reality.
Enjoy the fruits of your labor, they say. But as humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in, day out. With portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVs, you are assured of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility. Call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home. It's affordable and can be installed in just 3 days without modification to your existing building. It's however easier to incorporate it at the construction stage. We also have traditional Fuji elevators and escalators for your high-rise buildings and malls. Visit Lifts and Elevators Company Limited at Sakumono for your elevators nationwide. For free consultation, to call or WhatsApp us on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators, the elevator people.
For over 20 years of serving the world with herbal and alternative medicine, we've been successful in treating complicated medical conditions with a perfect combination of herbal and alternative methods of treatment like homeopathy, naturopathy, reflexology, and many more. We deliver excellent and effective service to people from all walks of life through scientific and traditional means. We have a well-equipped laboratory with advanced diagnostic and treatment devices to help detect your illness, so we know the right medication to be given. At Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital, we are proud manufacturers of our own herbal medication. Our zeal and passion to save lives with our patients at heart and outstanding achievements since 1996 has won us several awards. That is why we say, go herbal, go Amen. We are located everywhere in all the regions. Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital. Allahu Shafi, God is the He.
On my long and stressful days, I long for the refreshing company of my favorite companion. Wow, my favorite. Tomato onions, no tomatoes. Hi. Oh, hello. Please, I need to know the drink you were enjoying earlier at the shop. Sure. Even on Sundays in the markets, nothing is for one. Makuma Swaji. Guess what I brought? A refreshing companion for you and I. My favorite. Angel Drinks. Nyamepe, nyawenijehu.
This advert is FDA approved.
Everything 12 January, I copy say about Afcon every my Afcon and Soja call. I won't feel Hisense TV, Amcom TV, and a sound system. Yatiso say who? A Hisense Afcon double promo. Yeah, best you Afcon beer. I love Afcon beer. Can clear our Hisense and the Amcom TV so. Sadonly Yedida. Let's go commentary no so chagua. Tieni clear our high sense sound system so. Bora high sense showroom bia. Na ube usa ya TV any sound system so. Esan Afcon ninti. Sa uto ade our high sense ya. Wasu Jones high sense nko na ma 5 years manufacturer defect warranty. Sa Afcon radio ya mani je no anya double. Every say high sense mo hama mo. High sense. Ya de wanna to football so. Esan football ninti. High sense she kakra wo ho.
We are back, bringing you the latest lineup from Betway. Betway starts strong with their front two, with Free Play Friday and Swipe Bet. In the middle, you've got all the control with Cash Out and Build a Bet. Plus, with Win Boost, you can boost your sports bets. At the back, they have Smart Picks and the Partial Daily Jackpot.
You always get way more with Betway.
This advert has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly. No under 18. Terms and conditions apply. Betway. Get way more.
The biggest car center in Ghana, offering unparalleled round-the-clock service in autos and accessories. Nadam Autofix is the biggest distributors of used tires in Ghana, offering first-grade second-hand car tires of all rim sizes at both wholesale and retail prices. We are also the leading name in car sensor diagnostics, corrections and sales of car accessories. We excel in car washing and detailing with state-of-the-art steam engine washing machines that keep water away from your engine, ensuring a clean, healthy and responsive engine. Nadam Autofix, the first name in servicing, car accessories and car washing. Visit us today and experience the world of class difference. Find us today at Asoridaho, directly opposite Dansoman KFC and the Shell filling station. For more details, you can call us on 0503 244 266 or 0535 339823. Nado Motofix. Wukwain Sunyonko Papa.
Star Assurance, your solid partner.
Delivering prosperity in Africa calls for strong collaborations between African governments and business leaders where enablers of trade and growth are identified and built. Delivering prosperity in Africa calls for actionable and bankable policies that bring value addition to our vast resources. And because delivering prosperity in Africa matters, the Africa Prosperity Dialogues 2024 is themed Produce, Add Value, Trade. Join African heads of states and top business leaders from the 25th to the 27th of January at the Peduase Presidential Lodge, Ebri Hills, Eastern Region, Ghana. On the evening of the 26th of January, there will be the Africa Prosperity Champions Awards and Gala Dinner at the Kempinski Hotel, where African and global African leaders will be celebrated and awarded. Africa Prosperity Dialogues 2024, delivering prosperity in Africa.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. With me on the show this morning, I have the Director of Communications of the NPP, Richard Ayagba. Richard, good morning.
Morning.
Right. Also with me on the show this morning is a Member of Parliament for the Ningo Pram constituency, Samuel Nati George. Sam, good morning.
Good morning, Manje. Member of the
Omanyaba. Right. Imagine getting rewarded for doing something you already do every single day. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, that's exactly what Momo Season is all about. There's something for everyone. Download the Momo app on Play Store, App Store, and use Momo Pay for your day-to-day transactions to a merchant, either through the QR code or merchant ID, and stand a chance of winning 1,000 Ghana cedis weekly and other amazing prizes. The merchants are not left out of the reward. Receive payments and win. Keep using your Momo Pay and Momo app and get rewarded. There are lots and lots of exciting prizes for everyone. So what are we doing today? Transact more with Momo Pay and more points and win big this Momo Season. Visit Momo merchantapplication.mtn.com.gh for your Momo for business account today. It's Momo Season, just Momo it with Momo Pay. Terms and conditions apply. And Kel Kids toothpaste flavored with strawberry that gives a perfect taste for kids and makes them develop a personal attitude and love for brushing their teeth always is what your kids need. Kel Kids toothpaste protects child's gum, prevents cavities, and makes their teeth strong and healthy with freshness all day. Kel Kids toothpaste is recommended for children between 2 and 6 years. It is a product from Samara Company Limited, producers of Sasso, and is approved by the Food and Drugs Authority. Kel Kids, happy smile. And enjoying the fruits of your labor is as important as enjoying the mansions of your labor. The pains of climbing the stairs when not exercising could be painful and could be challenging for all ages. But worry no more. Lifts and elevators have got you covered with the best portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators on the market today. It's a simple self-supported elevator for both homes and offices. And guess what? It can lift your goods too. Wheelchairs can fit in, and they come in 3 custom-made models. It's affordable and can be installed within 3 days. Visit Lifts and Elevators at Sakumon or just call them on 0200-535-515 or send a mail to elevatorsgh@gmail.com for consultations and the best solutions in easy vertical movements. They say he who has health has hope, and he who has hope has everything. Amen Scientific and Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital is organizing a free health screening now for the general public. There's a way of saying thank you to Ghanaians. What's more rewarding than this? The free screening includes fertility tests, prostate, stroke, diabetes, hypertension, fibroid, ulcers, hepatitis B, and many more. Note that the medical screening is free, but patients with disease conditions will pay a token for their medications. Visit them at Dominia, Snit Flats, Down or Clagonia, Sherman Under Bridge, and all other branches across the country. You can call Amen Scientific on 020-722-9505 or 0244-227192 to book your appointments. Amen Scientific and Alternative Medical Hospital. Allah Shafi, God is the healer. All right, so Richard,
yes, sir.
Last week when you were on the show, we discussed the issue of the VAT on electricity. And you said that you were picking some info to the effect that it might not be implemented. Subsequent to that, the Trades Union Congress held a press conference on Tuesday and gave government a 7-day ultimatum to actually write to withdraw the VAT on electricity for domestic and residential consumers, and said that it will not be paid today nor tomorrow. That will not happen. I've seen a story where there's an interview that the ECG MD granted Evans Mensah on Joy, and it gives me. I go through the interview and I have about 7 or 8 questions. But he said, in the wake of disagreements about the government's decision to impose a new value-added tax on electricity consumers beyond the lifeline threshold, the Electricity Company of Ghana, the implementing agency, has raised concerns about the law imposing the tax. Although ECG and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company have been directed to implement the tax from January 2024, ECG has said it is yet to implement it. Speaking on Joy News' PM Express on Wednesday, January 24, the Managing Director of ECG, Samuel Dubik, Masubir Mahama, stated that ECG cannot merely respond to the letter from the government, especially when they are bottlenecked with the provision in the law that was passed as far back as 2013. According to him, in January 2023, so please mark this date, January 2023, he sought the opinion of ECG lawyers on the provision in the law because he found problems with it. He proved his claim by showing a document to the host of the show, Evans Benson, which had a date of January 10, 2023. Underline that. Quote, I asked for a legal opinion from lawyers for ECG to find out if within the law this provision is right and in its implementation what it will mean. So let's not take it for granted that even the company ECG or the government itself is not taking proactive measures to close the gap and find a way out of it. I don't understand what that means. The ECG MD is of a view that the letter from government asking it to implement the tax from January 2024 rather presents an opportunity for further stakeholder engagement on the policy. When the host reminded him that the letter from the government was a directive, he retorted, it's a directive, but if you are giving a directive and there are bottlenecks, you don't go implementing a directive that has bottlenecks. Every directive allows for conversations to be had. ECG itself, you have to come to ECG to ask ECG how you are going to implement this. Let me repeat this. ECG itself, you have to come to ECG to ask ECG, how are you going to implement this? There has to be stakeholder engagement. There has to be some form of sensitization. So if you call this as a directive to me, I didn't treat it as a directive. End of quote. According to him, he's held further interactions with the energy and finance ministers to look at the law and what needs to be done about it subsequently. Conversations are far advanced. If this thing would have been charged this year, then by 1st January, it would have been charged. Clearly, where we are now, we are finding whether even the law that was passed, what are the restrictions on the law? If it can be passed, we are finding a lot of interpretations. If this law has to go back to Parliament for it to be looked at and reconsidered, then yes, so be it. It should be a national consensus. So we need to applaud the TUC. Please, pardon me. For what they are doing. And also to be clear that if the thing is not being implemented, and the last paragraph said, transfer the revenues collected from the implementation of a VAT on the subject matter as a domestic VAT collection, there are processes that need to be outlined. According to the ECGMD, there will particularly be a challenge in the implementation of the VAT on prepaid electricity consumers. It's a technical difficulty. It's a nightmare. How do you go about this? First of all, one of the biggest challenges that will come up is this. Are we charging the VAT on residential customers? If yes, are they on prepaid meters? Yes. So are you charging per the money or the consumption? Because with prepaid, the consumption will be known at the end of the day. So I will only know your consumption after you consumed. So if I charge you the VAT when you are about to pay, that will not be fair if I'm charging on consumption. If I'm to implement it, that means at the end of the day, when you are about to purchase again, you actually have a debt that needs to be settled. There's a lot of stakeholder engagement that has to go into something like this. So I see more of this letter as a letter setting in motion an inquiry into all of this. Please help me understand all the things I've read. From a policy formulation to a policy directive to a policy implementation to, I don't know, please help me. Help me.
Unfortunately, I can't help.
Oh, you are going through your PhD studies, so I'm sure that some of these concepts are fresh in your mind and all that.
You know,
but please help me. Please help me.
You know what I'm laughing at? Where you read the thing.
I always concede that I didn't attend Ivy League school, so some of the things that Ivy League people do are above mine. Please help me.
Yeah, you know, you said you have 8 questions after listening to the interview. So has those been answered, or you asked those here?
So I said, help me. Yes, maybe after your help, I won't have any question.
Yes, as I said the other time, very good morning to your good self, to my brother George and your viewers.
In fact, you know what? Anytime this issue comes up, there's a video I like to play.
I think you've exhausted all your videos today.
No, there's one I like to play. And I think that it really places this whole issue into perspective. And I'd like to play it again. Please play me the video of His Excellency the Vice President on taxation. Just anything that comes to your head, you just, when you dig yourself into a hole, anything that comes into your head, you just, it sounds good to you. Please play me that video.
You played this yesterday.
That his government is going to build a globally competitive economy. We have not really been thinking global, and this is what we need to do. That we have to understand that we are in competition with other countries, and investment moves from country to country, so we have to think global. And so, the Nana Akufo-Addo policy, which he stated, is just basically to build the most people-friendly and the most business-friendly economy in Africa. This is the goal that we are going to try to do, the most people-friendly and the most business-friendly. The tax issue is a major issue, because if you are so, fixated on revenue, you will essentially end up hurting your production. And so if you go back into history, you study the economic history of United States, Germany, England, all of them have used the tax, policy to encourage production. And this is why we are saying that, today you have a situation in Ghana, unbelievable situation, when businesses are out on strike. Businesses who should be selling are out on strike. Why are they out on strike? Because they've been overburdened by taxes, and if you don't take care, you'll be chasing the tax revenue and killing businesses. And when you kill businesses, it means you are causing unemployment. And so if you go back, this is why Nana Akufo-Addo is saying, we need to mobilize financial resources. So why are you going to be imposing VAT on financial services? It doesn't make sense in a country which has got a very large unbanked population, and we want people to bank. We will abolish that, he says. We will abolish import duty on all raw materials, because that has been a policy that will help production. Let the businesses produce. Let them make profit. And when they make profit and employ people, we will get income taxes and we will get corporate taxes. So you don't go ahead to kill the business. No, let them bring in the raw materials, let them produce. Then you will tax, at the end of the day. And I think that you have a government where you have cutlasses being taxed, condoms being taxed, and even savings. There was a 1% imposition on savings, which was later withdrawn.
On investments, yes.
On investments, which was later. Even to think about it it's
been suspended.
It's been suspended. But even to think about it.
Oh, it's now abolished, is it?
Okay, good. Yeah, but even to think about it, it doesn't. It just questions who are making these policies.
But isn't it just another way?
Another way of raising revenue.
Well, yes,
but when you become desperate, this is what happens. That when you've mismanaged the economy into this hole, then anything sounds great to you because you don't have any option.
Right. So Richard, help me understand all the things that
he has said.
The MD has said.
Okay. But of course, he didn't have to play the Dr. Bawumia thing. It doesn't give any context to the thing. I think what you read was enough on its own for us to discuss.
Okay.
Anyway, so I think your mischief...
I won't argue with your opinion. To the extent that it's an opinion of my opinion, it's fine.
Thank you. You know, I have two concerns. One is the foray that the MD is gone on. I think that he has a simpler point to make, but then he went a very long roundabout way to make that point. And so that's a little concern for me. But then the substantial point in everything he said is the technical difficulty that ECG has in trying to collect the tax that has been duly passed by Parliament, the representatives of the people, representing or suggesting a measure of consultation to make a law. If you look at it as a proposition from the executive saying that we want in 2024 to collect revenue, and part of the measures we want to use to collect that revenue is to apply VAT on electricity. And Parliament debated that, Parliament considered it and approved it, become law. Then it's beyond any individual's position to revise that law or to decide that I am not going to enforce that law, or that law that has been deliberated and passed by Parliament is now subject to another review. Our structures don't allow that. There isn't anything in our government setup that allows for an agency or anybody to then take another seat to revise the directive in terms of law by Parliament.
I guess the point he makes is that he suggests subtly that there are implementation, or there could be implementation challenges.
Yes, I'll come to that.
For which reason,
yes,
he believes that although the law was passed in 2013, there has not been any attempt.
I agree.
To implement it.
Right.
And that he thinks that, or he believes that there was no stakeholder engagement.
I agree.
And that if there were stakeholder engagement, those who gave the directive would have known that it was not possible.
Yeah. You see, so there are many layers to that.
That's why I said I had about 8 questions.
Yes. So you see, I will come to his the substantial point he has made, which is a technical difficulty.
Right.
That is a germane point to make.
Right.
But the other bit where he's saying to do with the directive means that, this means this, those are things that ought not to have been said, because it is actually attacking the structure, the government system that we have.
When the host reminded him that the letter from the government was a directive, he retorted, quote, it's a directive, but if you are given a directive and there are bottlenecks, you don't go implementing a directive that has bottlenecks.
Yeah.
Every directive allows for conversations to be had.
Yeah.
ECG itself, you have to come to ECG to ask ECG, how are you going to implement this? There has to be a stakeholder engagement. There has to be some form of sensitization. So if you call this as a directive, to me, I didn't treat it as a directive.
Yeah. So that's where I think that that's where I think that he's gone off the rails. The key point he ought to make was what he made toward the end, to say that the ECG has technical problem. And I understand that. I know ECG is investing in an application to make it a bit more dynamic, to be able to contain and be ready to apply some programming to have this tax be collected. Now, if that application is what he's talking about, I hear him. So we can talk about that. How soon will that be ready, right? That's a separate conversation. Now, the issue of attacking the law, and by default attacking the law, and then in essence attacking the directive that has come from the ministry. The ministry is essentially giving expression to a law that is passed, that you are the agency to implement. So if you have challenges in terms of implementation, you note that. And in terms of implementation, what can we do? That should be the conversation.
He's calling out the competence, the leadership, and the propriety of those who gave the directive by saying that if you want to do something like this, you ought to engage the agency and ask the agency how feasible this will be. You just don't sit in your office and then you issue a directive and give an implementation date, and that it is he who has rather brought it to the attention of the two ministers. And there's a conversation going on.
See, this line of argument that you have taken is going to make the MD's case worse. And I want to
you disagree that is what he's saying?
Oh, no, I don't disagree. I agree with you. But I just don't want that to be, because that is inappropriate to make that suggestion. It's inappropriate.
But there's an audio and video.
No, I agree.
I didn't put the words in his mouth.
I agree. I'm just saying that bringing that to light makes his case worse. I was just trying to just summarily just talk about.
For me, it says one thing.
Yeah.
You know, on this DDEP, I kept making the point that look at how the domestic situation was handled, and look at how the external one has been handled. Two completely different approaches.
Yeah.
And this, what he's saying, goes to, justify that.
No, you see, so I'm thinking. So here's what I'm saying, that clearly, okay, to deal with what he has said, I'm just quite willing to talk about a technical challenge which is real. All right. So it makes it difficult, and my understanding is that this application that they're using now has been there since 2015 or so, and it was through the facilitation of the IMF World Bank to procure that. It's challenged. It's not a purpose-built application. It's an off-the-shelf application which has challenges. So there are a lot of adaptations. If you look at our unique problem, the challenges in our electricity consumption space, then you need some adaptation. So to that end, the ECG is investing in applying or procuring a different application that will be custom-made, tailor-made to our situation. So that is the point I suppose he ought to make. Now, veering into the space of legislation, okay, proposing legislation and going through the processes to then make that legislation become law, and then you turn around and say that all that process, okay, does not make sense. And to the extent that you've been directed to implement the outcome of that elaborate process, which involve parliament, involve proposition from the executive, and have gone through a process to make a law. Implement it. If you have challenge, focus on your challenge. He veered off his space. Okay, the other commentary he was making, that is not his jurisdiction. Everybody, the structure of our government has done a piece of work. You then
the incompetence of the government is creating problems for you.
But you see, this is why I'm saying that you are going into spaces that don't make what he has said come to.
But is that not what he has said? Yes, have I not summarized what he said?
You have. Okay. But I don't want us to dwell on that.
Okay.
I think that the ECG boss is doing a good job. He's been great since he's been there. But these kinds of talks are not acceptable. He's veering into spaces or talking about things that are above his pay grade. Okay, seriously above his pay grade. You cannot talk in ways that, in essence, indict Parliament. That the whole process, because you're trying to say that Parliament didn't give due consideration to the matter. Okay, you are in a technical space. They are in a legislative space, having considered the evidence in front of them, the necessity to raise revenue, to do A, B, C, D, and have passed the law. You are in the technical space now. Can you translate this law into a revenue stream? If you cannot do that, say I cannot do that.
They said before you direct
that is not his space necessarily.
No, he's just saying
but I'm
before
saying,
you direct consult me and ask me.
No.
That the thing has been in the books from 2013. Is there a reason why nobody has directed this implementation?
No.
But you don't just get up and you write a letter to me and then
I know what point you want to make, but I'm just saying the ECG boss is out of order in the other issue that he raised, completely out of order. You need to focus on the technical bit, which is towards the end he made. He should stick to that.
You don't think he's frustrated?
Well, if he's frustrated, he should still be in control because he's in a public space. It's not his personal space. He's working for the state. And so there are structures. He's not the only one. There's a line of activities that comes through and then it gets to him. He is at the implementation stage. He is trusted out of many to be the boss of ECG, to have the technical know-how with his team to make true on what legislation has come for him to implement. Now, if he's saying that his frustration could mean he's not capable, is that what he's saying? I'm willing to cut him a slack that he's competent. Yeah. So if you want to tell us the challenge you have technically, then let's talk about that. Then you can lead us in a solution to say that these and things I think we can do. We can't do it now, we'll do it later. I'm quite ready to follow that. But if you leave the technical space and you are talking about things that you have no jurisdiction to talk about, I find that problematic. I think that it's indicting our governance process, it's undermining the process of government, that he is, just because implement a thing, then you are just talking about things that are not within your purview.
What will you say?
That's not acceptable.
Richard, what will you say to those who say that if we had a few chief executives like this or agency heads like this, who will bring up some of this, I'm trying to find the right expression, but let's say, I was going to say thoughtless, some of these directives that perhaps could have been handled differently. It would put the people in the executive, senior executive roles on their toes. And they perhaps will not just be issuing directives, but will be engaging a lot more before they do that. Because, the TUC's directive is also on a different level.
Yes.
He is talking about technical.
Yeah.
As for them, they think that burdening the Ghanaian...
It's a challenge.
But then in their subsequent interviews with the TUC, the issue of stakeholder engagements also came up.
Yeah.
Were you engaged? No. Have you been engaged since you raised the issue? No.
What will happen? The ECG boss?
TUC. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so you see, I agree with you totally. So there are two different issues there. The engagement with TUC, or broadly just engaging to see the applicability of the law or the appropriateness in terms of collecting the revenue. Those are issues we can talk about in a democratic space. But on one level, right, you make a general assumption that this has gone to Parliament. You have, I think, multiple committees would have worked on it, finance would have worked on it, energy would have worked on it, and then it now goes through to plenary for it to be decided. Now its law is being voted on. So there is a measure of consultation at the level of Parliament that is concluded that yes, this is a good law, we can apply it for purposes of collecting revenue. So there's unanimity in terms of putting that law through to become something that we ought to implement. Now, TUC's position I respect because it is given, reality and then saying that maybe things are hard and therefore we should look at this. And you see, appreciating TUC's position also is appreciating government's position, right? The two are interrelated. Because government's difficulty translates into citizens' difficulty, because government is collecting that revenue to solve problems that affect us citizens. So it is a situation that we need to dialogue about. So that one, there is no problem about that. But the issue here that I have problem with is the ECG boss veering into a space that he has no business going into. Let's stick to the technical matters. I know he's leading a process to procure an application, which application will be a bit more dynamic, a bit more responsive, so that if this law ought to be implemented, then it has to be implemented. They will have the technical platform to do the programming that can charge that. But what he has now, my understanding of it is that it's not capable of doing it, which was what I said to you the last time. So the application is the problem. Technical difficulty he's facing is the problem. He should forget about everything he talked about and stick with the technical. That's where he's required to work. That is his job. And if he has anything else to say, probably he would have engaged with a committee when they were considering it, and so that maybe he gave his shares.
Probably 2013, it probably wasn't there.
Yes, but I'm just saying.
That's 11 years ago.
I'm just saying that that is where he belongs in terms of the process, right? To then offer.
You don't think that in searching for possible places to rake in revenue, and in identifying that, there's an ideal law. The law was passed 2013. which would allow us to charge VAT on domestic consumers and all that. Yes, why not implement it? And if we look at the consumption levels and all that, this is how much times 21.9%. This is how much. That's how they do it. So if you look at the consumption, 2 billion times 21.9%, it gives us so much. Oh, that's good. They plug some hole. So let's go and do it. You don't think that at that point, policy implementation, two things should have happened. One, how come that those who got a law passed in 2013 never ever implemented it for 3 years? How come that to also find out from the ECG how that law can be implemented successfully, because they will be the implementing agency. And then when you're satisfied by these two, then you can issue the directive and say that, because in fact, that level of consultation or stakeholder engagement would have then told you that perhaps if we can even do it, maybe we need to do A, B, C, D before. So 1st January will not be feasible. Maybe 1st of June or 2025 or something. But you just look at the existence of a law, you are looking for money. You say, this is another avenue. 10 years ago, they promulgated this law. They have not done it. If we look at non-lifeline consumers, implementing this can bring us so much. So ECG, I've signed from 1st January, collect and pay the money into domestic revenue.
But so I agree with you. Everything you said is reasonable. But you see, if we want to engage that line of thinking, what we're saying is that every law should be re-examined before we apply them. You can make that point, yes, right? But if it is a law that has been passed by a recognized body of our government, it's a law. Yes. I agree with you to say that maybe you would have to whatever. But then what is wrong if you, the implementing body, taking the law and looking at the condition and your capacity, you have problem with it, what is wrong with you writing to your agency and say, these are the challenges we have found? Because the law is good law. That's been passed.
It says it's done that.
Yeah. Okay, but then...
It says that subsequent to receiving the directive, he has contacted both ministers, Energy and Finance, and told them about how it would not be able to implement it.
That's
and
okay.
His point is that if that engagement had taken place earlier, there would not be a directive.
But you see, it's fine. But the point is that those who had given the directive found a good law. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to, because if it's a law, the question...
They found the existence of a law.
Yes.
Whether it's good or not.
No, but if it's not good, they won't pass a bad law. Hey. Because, but I'm just saying that, I mean, just get me here, hear me on the matter that our parliament is sat in wisdom, okay, to pass a law that's a bad law, inherently a bad law, right? So we assume that it's a good law passed by our parliament, unless that we want to say the parliament lacks the capacity to
President
pass.
Akufo-Addo,
but
in 2023, he signed, accented a private member's bill into law. It was gazetted. Months later, he wrote to Parliament trying to rescind what he had done, which had become law.
Yeah. But laws are amended all the time, okay? So you can do that. I'm not saying that there's an absolute position. I'm saying flowing from where you issue a directive. You see a law that is on our books. I am the implementing agency. You think that it's within my capacity. Now somehow you have a technical know-how in implementing that. So when it comes to you, you don't go and make a legislative accusation. You don't go and make the power to issue a directive to you to implement the problem. The problem should be, for you, the technical difficulty that you face in making good on that law. If that is the problem, then stick to it. And that necessarily doesn't mean going on TV to say, the interaction that he said is started, do that. If you think, per your technical advice, to say that we need to engage in some consultation, we need to do this, we need to do that, that's what you recommend. So on the basis of that, you tell Ghanaians that, yes, this is the difficulty, the law cannot be implemented now, okay, we are going through A, B, C, D processes. But this rant, which is going to the extent of indicting the whole governance process, that's what I find problem with. But otherwise, it's on four legs, or is on all four in terms of the technical challenge that he has. Let's stick to that one and not get into these other things that he was talking about.
What will you say to those who will hold a view that you sound pained that he has exposed the incompetence of people who ought to know better?
Fortunately, nobody has said that. Nobody has suggested. Nobody has suggested that. Nobody is thinking about that. I think this one is one of your 8 questions.
So are you pained?
It's one of your 8 questions.
Are you pained that he has exposed the incompetence of those who ought to know better?
I'm saying that this is part of your 8 questions, and I refuse to answer.
Oh, okay. Okay. If you refuse to answer, that's fine. So I'm sure we all know the venerable Austin Game.
Yeah.
So the ECGMD was deliberately demanding a sack.
Yeah.
He appears frustrated and overwhelmed by the challenges. Don't you see it that way?
Yeah. I'm saying that I wouldn't see it. Good morning to Mr. Austin Game for his service. I'm very good friends with one of his sons, a very solid young man. I think that he just stepped out of line. And so let's leave it at that. He ought to focus on the technical stuff, which for me, he has my support absolutely, because he is the implementer. And if there are challenges, I'm sure that the agency or the body that gave him the directive will be willing to listen. How do we fix that? We need to make this, we need to make that, and then I'm doing application. It'll take me these days to be able to finish it. Okay, well, that's what you must do. Because there's no way you'll be able to implement it if that constraint remains. So stick to the constraints and forget about the other things.
Right. Sam, let me bring you in.
Randy, let me say a very good morning and Happy New Year to our viewers. My first time on the platform this morning. And once again, happy birthday, belated birthday.
Thank you very much.
We pray that the next 50 years of your life would bring more successes and more achievements and more impact on Ghanaian people. I am a testimony to the impact that your life has had on young politicians, giving us a platform and shaping us. And I'm grateful for all you've done for us in that period.
Thank you.
You're making me want to render my own appreciation.
I think you can only align with me, because when you had the opportunity, you decided to jump straight for the jugular of the ECG.
He had seen me this year.
This year already, exactly.
But absolutely.
You know, a friend of mine sent me a message about how Mr. Richard Ahiagba has behaved this morning. Okay. And he references the U.S. I'll just read what he says. It says, when racial tensions reached its peak in America in 2018, and Trump was making outrageous remarks, LeBron James made this comment: the number one job in America, the appointed person, is someone who doesn't understand the people. The athlete said this, that's the end of the quote. The athlete said this at one point during an interview, adding that some of the president's comments are laughable and scary. Now, a pro-Trump reporter on Fox News told LeBron James, keep the political comments to yourself. Shut up and dribble. Meaning, leave the politics, just go and pass the ball on the basketball court. This morning...
Talking about dribbling, a friend of mine, Coach, he's changed your name to Richard Kudus.
This morning, Randy, if Richard said it was your question, well, it's not your question, it's an opinion I hold, that he sounds very pained and seems to be telling the ECGMD, shut up and do your job.
Shouldn't he?
I believe that...
Shouldn't he shut up and do his job?
Randy, that's going to mean that we are pushing business as usual in this country. Business as usual has pushed us into the hole that Dr. Bawumia spoke about in the video you played. And now everything that comes to the mind and enters the ears of the government people sounds good to their ears. Because, Randy, I will concede that you would not expect naturally that an agency head would literally call out his supervising minister and other ministers of state in a public interview. I concede. But Randy, are we in normal times in this country? Are we in the place in this country where the normalcy should prevail? Are we not looking for a new kind of approach to our governance system? Randy, where has normalcy brought us as a people? Is it not because of the normal things we do, the acceptable norms of our governance system, that we are in this mess we find ourselves in? Because Randy, if this government was not dysfunctional, and if this government was not at its lowest when it comes to efficiency, how do you implement a policy of this nature? And stakeholders, like the implementing agency, the ECG, stakeholders like TUC, that represents a majority of Ghanaians who are going to bear the brunt of this tax introduction, that's going to increase electricity by 21.9%. How do you implement without engaging any of them? And Randy, this is not a one-off. It is the standard. It is the norm in this government. In the Ministry of Communication, Esla Usu wakes up one morning, decides that she wants to register SIM cards and just gives a fiat without even engaging the Chamber of Telecoms and the implementer, the NCA. You see the mess that we have. We had with SIM registration and still have today with SIM fraud. It's even increased. If you go to the Cybersecurity Authority, SIM fraud has increased since we did the SIM re-registration. So it's the same thing you are seeing in this implementation. It's the same way planting for jobs. We're told they have implemented it, yet the farmers were complaining. And what have we seen? We've seen inflation shoot up to 54% on the back of food inflation. I'm giving you all of these examples to show you the poor implementation in this government. It is the same way in the Ministry of Railways. Our government asked the Exim Bank to take $2 million of taxpayers' money to buy equity shares in a company that did not necessarily even have the license to operate trains in the name of bringing us Sky Trains.
Without due diligence. At least that's what
yes, absolutely. So, Randy, it shows you, and I can go on and on and on and give you examples of how our governance, the normalcy of our governance system, has created the mess that we find ourselves in. And so I don't think that the ordinary Ghanaian whose electricity bill is going to go up by 21.9% is really going to be interested in whether the ECG MD has acted politically correctly or appropriately in terms of corporate governance, or whether what he is saying is something that we need to sit back and look at. It's interesting that today Richard Kudus Ahiagba believes and thinks that Parliament is so holy and so perfect in our ways. Randy, I mean, I've entered my 8th year in Parliament, and if there is one thing I have come to realize is the flaws and inefficiencies of the parliamentary system, and the fact that we have a parliament that is extremely and overly subservient to the executive. Randy, don't forget that you say Parliament gave approval to the budget which gave life to the implementation of this earlier legislation. But go back and read the parliamentary hazard of the debate on that budget and see what one half of Parliament said about the implementation. 137 out of the 275 MPs took a position that this tax handle should not be implemented. So it is incorrect. Yes, I get it when you say that the parliamentary procedure is majority carries the day. But when it is not a unanimous position of Parliament, when in the closing submission of the minority leader, Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen, he made it explicitly clear that the imposition of this tax will impose undue hardship on already overburdened Ghanaians. You cannot then sit and say that Parliament willy-nilly and wholeheartedly passed this bill. Randy, again, the processes of our budget approvals are problematic. I am a parliamentarian and I'm saying this, that Parliament must sit back and look at how we approve the budget.
What makes it problematic?
Randy, the budget is read 3 weeks, if you are lucky 4 weeks to the rising of the House.
Yeah.
We sit back for another week, at times 10 days, in some instances 2 weeks. The estimates have not come. And so you literally have 10 days. 10 days to scrutinize the details of all the various agencies and their estimates and expect that you would have proper work done? Randy,
but why don't you insist as Parliament that the policy statement must come with estimates? Why don't you insist?
Randy, we have made those calls severally, but when you have an executive...
Why don't you refuse to accept for the budget to be read if it comes without estimates?
And that's why I'm raising those issues here, that we need to have that conversation. Parliament must come to that place where we say, we won't accept your budget to be read on the floor of the House if it's not coming with the estimates. Because we need to have enough time. Randy, look, at times I sit back as a parliamentarian and look at what goes on in that chamber, and I say, this is a joke of democracy. Listen, and I say this very forcefully, and there is no MP who has a conscience who would disagree with me. Randy, they bring us loan agreements, 600-page loan agreements. It is tabled the day we are rising. And you tell me that the finance committee go and sit down, read the 600 pages, understand it within 2 hours, process it, and do a report. Who are we kidding? Is that not an insult to the democracy we claim we are practicing? Look, if we want to change, if we want this country to work, we need to be ready to take radical decisions to change the way business has been done. But this is how we do it. Look, a minister should not be giving policy directives without consulting your implementing agency. Because you see, if the Minister of Finance...
In fact, how do you even develop the
policy without engaging your implementing agency?
How do you even do it?
And I'm giving you a plethora of instances within this government. So it's like the norm. They go and sit at cabinet, after drinking tea, they take a decision, and then they just come and throw it at everybody. It's announced by the minister. Implementation is not their business. And so, you see, we are in a place where it is difficult. And Randy, you played a tape. You played a tape this morning. I'm going to repeat verbatim. You play it always. It's by my big brother, the CEO for NPA. What's his name? Sheikh
Hamid.
Mustafa Hamid.
Yeah.
If you reach a certain stage and there is nobody who can look you in the eye and tell you the truth, then we are doomed. This is where our country has gotten to, and wallahi, we have to rescue this country. I feel very terrible as a Ghanaian. Sheikh spoke prophetic words.
Sheikh Dr.
Hamid spoke prophetic words about the government he was going to be a part of.
He was referring to your government.
Yes, but you see, if he thought we were doomed then Randy, what are we in now?
We are doomed.
In fact, doomest. Because, Randy, wallahi, you can't tell these people the truth. If you look them in the face and tell them the truth, they hate you.
Like Dubik.
Dubik may not, he may not, you said it's above his pay grade. You say you don't disagree. Listen, wait, Richard. Richard, you say you don't disagree with what the technical things.
Yes.
No, but Randy, you can play the tape again. You said it is beyond his pay grade.
Yes.
But I have not said anything wrong. I'm just repeating what you said. I didn't say you hate him. I quoted Dr. Mustafa Hamid. You hate what he said. What he said has left you pained. And so you see, yes, Dubik may not have used the right platforms. He may not have said it in the right manner. He may not have quoted it in the way that we would expect in corporate governance. But the substance of what he has said, Andy, are we interested in the substance or the form? And that is where we have gotten to, where everything that they think and hear and process is music to their ears, like Dr. Bawumia said. And so we need to ask ourselves, Randy, you are charging VAT. Randy, how is it that you want to charge me COVID levy on electricity? Do you know that COVID is part of the tax? Yes. The tax handle. Yes. Like, Randy, it's a serious matter. You are charging me COVID levy.
Because during COVID, you got free electricity.
Randy, who got free electricity?
Didn't you enjoy it?
Oh.
And water.
Randy, What is Ghana Water's coverage of the whole country?
I'm saying you.
Me, I did not.
How?
I did not.
How?
How did I get?
At Tesano and Pram, you got free water.
No, there is no water flowing in Pram. Ghana Water doesn't flow to my hometown of Awiam.
But Tesano you got.
In Tesano I got. And do you know what has happened to my water bill since then?
What has happened?
It has tripled what I was paying. So I am paying more for water and still paying the taxes. So Randy, look, maybe people need to understand that this thing is not just the 15% VAT everybody is talking about.
No. It
is 15% VAT. You are paying 2.5% get fund levy on your electricity. You are paying 2.5% national health insurance levy on electricity. And you are paying 1% COVID levy. Randy, what has my electricity consumption got to do with get fund?
The directive.
What has it got to do with national health insurance? What has it got to do with COVID?
The directive by the ministry on how it should be calculated means that you end up paying
21.9%. And Randy,
and it's not just on electricity.
No.
Insurance.
That's
everything. Insurance. So your car insurance, your insurance on your house against burglary, fire, and all that.
So Randy,
you're supposed to pay VAT on
Randy. So more people will not do car insurance. When police catch you, you pay 50 Ghana and go.
No,
that's what's going to happen.
The police won't collect it. They will arrest you and prosecute you.
Have you seen the number of pockets on the police uniforms?
It's not for that. That's not there for a long time. It's not the purpose.
Randy, no, but you see, the point I'm making here is that government is cutting its nose to spite its face.
You know, that's why I played a tape where the vice president, then in opposition, was talking about how the previous government, he believes at the time, with the tax burden, had overtaxed everybody, and that it was strangulating everybody. And that's not how you do it. You need to have a global perspective. They were bringing something different, and that you need to create a conducive environment for the people to produce, to employ, and then you make money from the income taxes and the corporate taxes. But you don't go imposing the taxes on them, which will not spare, production development, and all those things.
You see, Randy, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, alias Dr. Timothy Bawumia, must become the subject of academic study. University of Ghana Business School, Side Business School, in Oxford, the leading business schools must study and use them as a case study of how theory does not match practicality, especially in an African or third world economy. How you do not take theory of a book, wax lyrical with it, become MC Bawumia like a rapper. Rapping and rattling economics theory. And then when you are faced with the reality, you backtrack. Look, Randy, we can have a whole week of your show and it will not suffice to just pick the words of Dr. Bawumia, either in interviews.
Let's stick to this one.
Either in interviews or in lecture series at Central University. And then juxtapose what he said with what he has overseen. Randy, look, the lack of understanding of the practicality. And you see, when I say that Dr. Bawumia is an epitome of how practicality and theory do not necessarily match, you see what Dubik raised? The practicality of implementation. I'm a prepaid electricity user. So when are you charging me the VAT? Are you charging me VAT for something I have not consumed? Because if I am going to buy electricity, so I'm going to buy 2,000 cedis worth of electricity, and I get there, and you slap a 21.9%.
The simple way of looking at it is that if you pay 2,000, you will get electricity worth minus 21.9%. That's a simple way of looking at it.
Randy, why are you charging me 21.9? Why are you charging me that? Do we pay tax upfront in this country?
But you will definitely consume it.
No. You see, Randy, we are dealing with.
No, you have purchased it. It's the purchasing.
Yes.
If you go to a shop,
Randy,
Sam, you go to a shop.
Yes.
And there's VAT on an item.
Yes. Yeah.
You will not pay the VAT when you have consumed.
Yeah.
You pay when you purchase.
Yes.
So it's the same thing.
So your consumption starts from when you purchase.
Randy.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Randy. So for the person who is on postpaid, you are then giving two different tax regimes. You are charging me on prepaid ahead of my consumption.
Yes.
And you want to charge another Ghanaian who is on postpaid after his consumption.
That's circumstantial.
Yes.
Right?
Why is it circumstantial?
It's circumstantial because you are prepaid,
Randy,
they are postpaid.
you know what this is going to lead to? It's going to lead to a lot more people trying to go postpaid and trying to bypass the system.
But they won't give you the postpaid. They are the one giving it. You don't buy it.
But whichever case, you see, Sam, whether you pay it today,
yes,
it will end up being
or you
the
pay
same.
it tomorrow, you will still pay.
Yeah.
Randy, I must pay taxes.
When you want to pay it.
No, when the taxes are due. You can't wake up today and go to GRA, Metro TV. Cannot wake up today and go to GRA and say, GRA, take this money. It's our tax in anticipation of our revenue for 2024 and 2025, and hold it. You don't do that.
You can if you give them, they'll take it.
They'll take it.
But when at the end of the year, they'll still
do
do
you do that?
Yes.
And they will decide whether they should give you.
So it means that your tax obligation is then done at the end of the tax year. True or false?
But not necessarily. Let's
Massa.
not argue that.
Massa. No.
Because
You
you
see,
see,
Randy,
I don't know the point that you're trying to make.
No,
but my issue is that
let's agree on the point I'm making here that even with the GRA thing, I want us to end with that GRA analogy. Even if you decided that Metro TV just wants to go and pay up front, at the end of the 2024 tax year, GRA will now do an evaluation of your tax obligation, true or false, and let you know. So it means your true tax obligation is determined at the end of the tax year.
Yes.
So there's a tax cycle. It is at the end of that your tax obligation is determined, true or false.
Yes.
Exactly. And I'm saying that the issue that is being raised here now by Dubik and his people is, when do you want me to charge this thing? After consumption, so that everybody is on the same level. I go and buy my 2,000. So it means that I have to pay tax 21.9%, which comes to what? About 432 Ghana cedis. The next time I'm coming to buy my next electricity, on my account, there is a debit of 432 Ghana cedis. So I pay for it.
So Sam,
before I am giving electricity. Do you get the argument you are making? And not before I consume the electricity.
On the issue of the prepaid and the postpaid,
that one,
I don't know the exact technical challenges that ECG has. But if it's just on the principle of prepaid and postpaid, I don't see the worry. And I'll tell you why. You see, if both of us go to buy an item and you buy it on credit.
Yes.
You buy it on credit and say that you will pay, say they give you a 90-day credit. And so you pay after 90 days. And I go and buy it cash upfront. At the time of the payment, the tax will be calculated on it and I pay.
Right.
So there are two items. One is on credit, one is
your pay
as you take it. So when I go into the shop and I'm buying the item, I'm taking it and I'm paying, I'll pay the tax on that day. If you take it on credit, the item will be given to you. When your payment is due, you will make the payment with the tax.
Including the tax.
That is how I see prepaid and postpaid. So for me, really, and I'm not suggesting that I know what their technical challenges are, but if we are just dealing with the issue of prepaid and postpaid, for me, that really is not an issue.
That's
yes.
not a difficulty.
I hear you.
And this has also nothing to do with whether you should charge VAT on electricity, because I've made the point here that when it comes to domestic consumers, if you add a VAT, you are dealing with four things. One has to do with a quarterly review. Two has to do with the fact that the lifeline ban, the lifeline thing, has been reduced from 50 to 30. A majority in the 1 to 50, majority, an overwhelming majority, not just majority, an overwhelming majority of those who were in the lifeline ban were 31 to 50. I mean, 1 to 30 simply means that you spend 7 cedis, 50 pesos maximum a week, which comes to 30 cedis a month. That's what the 1 to 30 means, you know. So that's the two. Three is that the band itself has been collapsed and changed. So now immediately you go into 31, you are in a range of 31 to 300. Where maybe in the past it was, let's say, 50 to 100 or 50 to 150. But now the band itself has been collapsed. So once you are at, let's say, 31, 32, you are in the same band with perhaps somebody who's at 200 or 250. We sometimes don't understand these technical things and the implications they have on your bills. So the fourth one now is going to be 21.9%
on top of it.
Yes.
Randy.
And for me, that's where
Randy, unlike Richard Ahiagba, I would not have an opinion on your opinion.
You had one earlier on prepaid and postpaid.
No, I stated my
you can't save
opinion.
yourself.
No, Randy, I stated my opinion, and you have shared an opinion on my opinion, and I won't disagree with your opinion. I'm not like Richard here. I'm more charitable.
That's all.
But Randy, and please let me be quick.
Yes.
I received a message.
Yes.
I'll tell you who from.
Okay.
In fact, it's your alma mater. You should have corrected me when I was mentioning the business schools that need to study the fact that Dr. Bawumia will be used as a case study. The the prestigious Accra Business School.
Maybe it's because I know they won't study it.
No, they have to. It's a prestigious school. The prestigious Accra Business School will study and make sure that people realize that theory and practicality are not the same.
Whether they think they will find it worth studying is what I was not too sure about.
But you know, Randy, it's a serious matter.
Yes.
It's a serious matter that if you listen to the Trade Union Congress, the TUC, I mean, you just need to realize the pain that Ghanaians are going through. Randy, look, if this thing is carried through, you listed 4 areas that the consumer is going to be affected. There's a fifth you failed, maybe that you have not averted your mind to, Randy. Those consumers who are bedding to the 4 that you have categorized are also going to end up still going to buy commodities from producers of those commodities locally. And those producers of local commodities are also going to be facing this 21.9 because businesses are also affected. And they are going to pass on the increases in electricity, and almost any business that produces in Ghana relies on electricity. And so there is a pass-through.
I think this one, no, it's only on residential consumers.
Randy,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's only on residential.
The VAT is not on businesses?
No, it's on residential.
Residential
and domestic.
And domestic.
Domestic, yeah.
That's fine. But we need to be mindful about the fact that the issues Randy has raised, the 4 categories he's raised, and what that does in a period where inflation is taking away, cost of living is going high, taking away the spending power of people. And then, Randy, the truth of the matter is...
Inflation is coming down, sir.
From where?
Oh, it's what is the inflation now?
No.
So this is when you're making the point.
Richard, inflation right now is around 24%, right?
You know, it's 23.2. It's come down.
23.2, I say around 24.
But it's different.
It's rather around 23.
Yes.
I'm rounding up.
No. It's below 5. It's below 5.
No, I am using the tenth.
This is mischief on steroids.
Eh? Unless they are using a Black Stars calculator.
You Black Stars, I'll come there. Wait. You Black Stars, I have a whole op-ed of Black Stars. You wait. Randy, 23.2. Coming down from 54%. But when I ask you, where did you pick it from? Where was inflation when you took over office? So you see, when you sit here and try to paint a picture that we must sing, oh, say yay.
But nobody said
because
anything like that.
Now inflation is, you say I shouldn't say 24, 23.2. when you took over government, inflation was around 11%.
You know, now, 15%. 15
I'm rounding down. People ask me to round down. I'm rounding down to the nearest.
It's just mischief.
Randy, it's important that we understand that the Ghanaian worker, whatever salary increase was agreed on May Day to be effective for 2024, inflation has wiped that salary increase out. So that salary increase is actually of no consequence to their spending power. Now, even when people, right now in Ghana, there is nobody who has disposable income. Disposable income has been wiped out by the depreciation of the cedi and its attendant effect of inflation. Now you are adding 21.9%.
You want to add?
It's not that they want to add. They have given...
It's not been added.
No, Randy, wait. This one, I have an opinion on your opinion. We sat here and said the directive to Dubek was not an expression of intention. It was an order to implement.
Yes.
True or false?
Yes. But the reality is that...
it hasn't been implemented.
No. So when I say you want to implement or you want to take...
You say you are.
You are taking.
So yes.
So a directive has been made that take.
Okay.
The challenge now is that the person to take doesn't know how and where to take. That's what he's saying. That's the only reason why the taking hasn't started. But if today ECG says, okay, we can do, they will take it.
In fact, the objective was to take from 1st January.
On 1st January.
So that for prepaid consumers, we would have been seeing
yes. it. So all of this conversation would have been of no consequence because all of us who would have bought electricity from 1st January till now, if not for the implementation challenges, would have been paying. So the intent there is clear. My point
is that is different from the actual taking. The taking has not happened. That's what Randy is saying, that it hasn't been collected.
Nobody has paid as at yet.
You know the video that I played? Yes. When it was brought to Dr. Bamia's attention that the thing has been repealed. You know, the financial services one. It says the mere thought of it.
To even think about it. In this case, Randy, they haven't just thought about it, they have implemented it. It's just waiting for actualization. You understand me? So Richard, you have absolutely no wiggle room here. The fact is
I wasn't looking for one. I just made my point that the man should stay with the technical issue, and that's fine. It shouldn't stray into.
So, but Richard, you agree and believe. Okay. No, I'm wrapping up. No, just 30 seconds before you go on your break. Lest I'm accused of trying to control your show like Annie did the last time on Facebook.
Oh, really?
Yes. You said that because I said they should not go on break because I was mid-air. But you see, Randy, I just want to find out from Richard. Is Richard's point that he is comfortable that his anti-Indenu should pay 21.9% more? Is that the point he's making, or that your priest? I wasn't here last week.
Okay.
So I'm asking.
But you should have been watching.
I wasn't here. I was engaged. I was praying. I was fasting and praying for the interceding on behalf of this nation. I was asking, Richard, are you saying that you are comfortable? You are comfortable and happy that your anti-Indenu or your parish priest, and that even when you go to mass, the church must pay, or that anybody around you is going to pay 21.9% more electricity? Are you happy with it?
I will answer that question comprehensively.
Okay.
You need to process and think it.
No. About
is that, yes or no?
No.
Pascal is showing his boss the efficient new technology they've installed. She is pleased, but now she's asking, why is that still there? Pascal explains that he hired a security guard to protect the data shed. The boss is not so pleased anymore. If you haven't upgraded to cloud storage yet, it's time to get business done better with MTN Business.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ampadu. Good afternoon, Mr. Asari. How is business doing? My business is collapsing. Why is your business collapsing? I sold my products and services to my clients on credit, and my debtors are not paying their debt. Have you heard of Rosic Consult Limited, a debt recovery company operating in all the 16 regions of Ghana? Not at all. Mr. Ampadu, all you need to do is to contact them on their customer service line. I recommend Rosic Consult Limited, a debt recovery company to financial institutions, businessmen and businesswomen, other companies, and also individuals. Rosic Consult has 98.4% debt recovery rate. We have professional debt recovery managers. You are assured of swift debt recovery. No recovery, no commission. For Rosic Consult Limited, no more write-offs. And we pre-finance the recovery ourselves.
We are back, bringing you the latest lineup from Betway. Betway starts strong with their front two, with Free Play Friday and Swipe Bet. In the middle, you've got all the control with Cash Out and Build a Bet. Plus, with Win Boost, you can boost your sports bet. At the back, they have Smart Picks and the Partial Daily Jackpot.
You always get way more
with Betway.
These adverts have been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly. No under 18. Terms and conditions apply. Betway. Get way more.
Over 18 years in business, Appointed Time Printing Limited has delivered quality service to some of Ghana's well-known brands. With our equipment capacity, we are able to deliver 1,500 pieces of polo and t-shirts in 1 hour. This is only possible with us. For retailers and wholesalers, we offer for sale high-quality polo shirts and t-shirts in different colors at affordable prices. We have a one-stop shop for all creative designs and billboards, 3D signages, flexi banners, car branding, stickers and posters. Locate us at the old GNTC building near Swansea Shopping Arcade, Accra. Contact us on 0501 454165, 0501 454167. Connect with us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook at Appointed Time GH. Appointed Time Printing Limited. Our printing is a
Enjoy the fruits of your labor, they say. But as humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in, day out. With portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVs, you are assured of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility. Call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home. It's affordable and can be installed in just 3 days without modification to your existing building. It's however easier to incorporate it at the construction stage. We also have traditional Fuji elevators and escalators for your high-rise buildings and malls. Visit Lifts and Elevators Company Limited at Sakumono for your elevators nationwide. For free consultation to call or WhatsApp us on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators, the elevator people.
Star Assurance, your solid partner.
Mommy.
Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Sankofa.
Yenchi. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Have you been to Aqua Safari lately? Let me share my experience with you at the new Aqua Safari Resort. When you arrive, you're greeted by warm smiles and introduced to your 24-hour butler who already has your itinerary sorted. Enjoy water sports activities like jet ski rides, kayaking, water sliding, flyboarding, and castanet fishing. You can even have your lunch here on the boat cruise. Experience horseback riding, tennis, and some golfing amongst a host of other activities. Let the tour guides take you through the sceneries of the Volta River, the mangrove forest, the friendliness of the animals, local and exotic birds, while you pet and feed them. You can have this large space for your conferences, corporate retreats, and so many activities as part of the package. We chose to have our breakfast with a beautiful sunrise right in front of our cabin. We had an amazing experience and I can't wait to return for more.
Visit Aqua Safari Eco Resort in Ghana, bringing you closer to nature.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Still with me on the show, I have Richard Ahiagbah and Sam Natty George. Now, what does wealth mean to you? Do you want to live like a tycoon? Remember, I was got the Mola, got the power. Ghana's newest lottery game draws live on Adom TV at 9 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. daily. Now, pick up your phones, tablets, and computers and download the GamePark Games app on Play Store. You can also play on the website at www.gameparkgames.com or by dialing *946# on all networks. Just choose 4 numbers from 0 to 9. It's easy to play and easy to win. Charlie, make we play this game and make some mola. Nobody beats our odds in Ghana. GamePark Games, more mola, more power. This game is regulated by a National Lottery Authority and is not for persons under the age of 18. Play responsibly. Ayasoku, Betway's cash out just go way better. Our enhanced early partial and auto cash out feature lets you cash your bets out early, cash out a portion of your ongoing bets, or even set your bets to cash out automatically. All this to give you way more control over every thrilling bet you place. Sign up today at betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. This is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana and it's not for persons under the age of 18. Betway, get way more. And charcoal has essential medicinal properties that help remove toxins from our bodies. The natural absorptive property of charcoal helps to remove the bacteria that produces bad breath in the mouth, hence giving you a fresh breath. Kel Charcoal toothpaste has been formulated and produced under strict hygienic conditions with all the necessary production protocols and has been approved by the Food and Drugs Authority. Constant use of Kel Charcoal toothpaste gives you a good fresh breath, whiter teeth, reduces dental plaque, makes the gum healthy and strong, prevents cavity, abscess, stomach, hangover, and so on. Kel Charcoal toothpaste is recommended for adults and children from 6 years. Kel Charcoal toothpaste for white teeth and fresh breath all day long. This is another quality product from Samara Company Limited. Kel Charcoal toothpaste, happy smile. And are you ready for something refreshing, great tasting with excellent flavors? Well, then drink Angel Cola, your key to enjoyment. So whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you go, they've got varieties to choose from. Angel Orange for that special occasion, Angel Mango, Angel Peach, refresh your mood, Angel Apple Lime. Angel Drinks produce vitality and maintain fluid in normal balance. Angel Drinks, refreshing, invigorating, and exciting. Angel Drinks are produced by Adonko Soft Drinks Beverages Limited. Angel Drinks taste like our day and recommended for all, including children. You can reach them on 0244 832286 and 0507878 Terms and conditions apply. And if you're looking for quality but affordable housing facilities up the hills of Ebri or Ekropon Ekrapim, then you need to speak to Kingdom Home Real Estate. The properties are just 30 minutes drive from Accra, and they provide you with a modern touch of comfort, high standard security service plus CCTV, standby generators, constant water supply and electricity. And the properties are surrounded by lovely tourist sites such as the Bri Botanical Gardens, Boti Falls, Safari Valley Resort, etc. All you need to do is to pay 70% upfront, and the remaining 30% is spread over a 2-year period with no interest payment at all. You can locate the Bri properties close to the Bri Girls School and the Ekropon properties right after Latte Junction. You can call them on 0559 761144 or 0555 621 You can visit the website www.kingdomhomerealestate.com or their Facebook page. And you asked okay, so Mr. Martin Brento is asking what will be the fate of the poor in a compound house with 1 meter. Well, you are off lifeline, so you will pay. You will pay. Anyway, but I got this one from, which is, I think, one of the things that Richard wants the big to focus on. And I got that from Mr. Alex Mould. You know, and a few people have written about this. Now he says, I got the shock of my life when I went to pay my ECG prepaid meter bill, that has arrears of 4,000 plus cedis. Apparently, the prepaid meter has a modem in it, which sometimes does not work, and as such, the meter cannot communicate the units consumed, nor the units that have been paid for and supposedly charged onto that meter. On meeting the person in charge at the ECG district office, I was told that it's because some of the modems get faulty in the meters. For some reason, they have not got a program to tell them which modems are working or not. Some of these meters have not been recording for months. This means there could be as many as 10% of modems not working properly, which can translate into millions of Ghana cedis not collected by ECG.
Yeah, so you're right. I made a point here that I want to talk about, is that we have a lot of practical problems with the production and distribution of electricity. That leads to, losses to, VRA, the, power producers, and eventually to ECG, and then government has to carry that tab. So there are difficulties there, which is informing the extra measures that are being made to collect. Now, if there is efficiency, that 1 unit or kilowatts of electricity that is produced, the systems are such that you collect for that. And I think that the cost of electricity will be low, very, very low, okay? But owing to some of these losses, it creates the deficit that government has to pay for, provide the money for, because we have to keep the lights on. That's essential. We have to keep the lights on, and that's really why the cost is so high. So in having this conversation, pay or not pay, or charge or not charge, where also that conversation focuses, and I know PRC does a very good job in that area, trying to hold the ECG to account to make sure it reduces wastage so that it's not transferring those wastages to consumers in a form of tariff increases. So we have a comprehensive work to be done to ensure that electricity comes down. So it's not a question of just take away the tax. If you take away the tax, the cost of electricity is still high, largely because of some wastages in the system. So that needs to be dealt with. And I think that the ECG has done a good job to manage that so far. There's a lot more that needs to be done. Okay, so I agree with that. But you see, on the tax question that Sam is asking, and the proposal by the New Patriotic Party to move away from taxation to production and matters related to that, and where we are today. You see, it's a practical issue where when the promise was made in 2016, it was a germane, a real promise that we believe by our orientation, what our worldview is that tax is not how you build. Okay, production gives you a better avenue because in that chain you are able to create value, and in that the revenue you make is on the value you have created, and that has a cascading effect in terms of job creation and the general development of the country that you are seeking. So that's a better proposition, and that works, is proven to work in many, many, many areas where the conversation of tax is a question of what do you want? Is it that you want development or you want revenue? Now, if you want development, which translates into these other outcomes, then production is the path to go. We believe that, without apology, that for Ghana to develop, our focus must be on production. So that promise we gave is a promise we believe in today, the promise we believe in tomorrow. Now, the circumstances that we're in today, okay, merit a special discussion, and I think that the NDC just throws about and say, you said this and now that. You remember, when we came in 2017, we made good on that promise, okay? And I think about 21 or so taxes. We abolished about 15 of them.
You removed VAT on 17 items.
I know, yes. And then we reduced the rate on some. So altogether about some 21 taxes.
What have you done subsequently?
No, but I'm coming. Now, under the circumstance at the time, we believe that removing those taxes, okay, will spare production, would free capital for people in industry to invest those capital rather in productive ventures rather than contributing that to government. So that was the thinking, and we believed in that. We delivered. It was a campaign promise, was a manifesto promise. We delivered. Now, 2017, 2018, 2019. And I'll tell you the usual. Even though we have not in this country had a serious non-political or partisan conversation about why we are here is the problem. You understand? So you are a social scientist, and so you understand the thing of evidence.
But I know why we are here.
Yes. Okay. Well, but so maybe that yours is some subjective. You don't understand. We're talking about empirical situation.
The empirical evidence I have suggests that we are here because we have borrowed ourselves.
That's
empirical.
You know, we had that conversation
I'll
last
take
time.
the evidence from the budget statements presented by the finance minister on behalf of the president.
Yeah. So
that's my source.
Yeah, but I agree. But you see, so you are talking about the composite debt that we have today. If you take that and you make the argument, then it's lost on people the disaggregation of that debt and who borrowed what and at what time. If you want to do that, we can do. Let's plan another Thursday and do the debt one, so we can look at it, take out the strands and look at what this one came from, who did what, and we can look at it and see where we've come. Because if you look at the rate of change,
there's a video I must play for you.
Annie,
please look for the Bright News editor, his interview with the finance minister when he was at TV3. Give me that video.
But not today. Let's do it on Thursday.
Oh.
Let's do it Thursday.
No,
so we can...
let's play the video today as closing video. And please, as we speak, don't forget I asked you a question. You said you would answer.
Yes, I'm asking you a question.
Time to answer.
No, Andy said yes or no.
No.
You don't choose how he answers.
So, yes, I am happy my auntie will pay.
He will send it to you on WhatsApp.
You know, by the time I finish my submission, I think I would have answered your question. Yes. So generally, we came in and reduced taxes because we believed that we need to do that to spare production. So we did that. Now, 2017, 18, and 19, you run into an unexpected situation with COVID, right? Yes, of course, that's what it is. And you see, that's the problem I have here, that if we want to be intellectually honest, because I know you have capacity, if you want to be honest to the facts, we will have to understand and agree that yes, we'll factor this into the conversation. Because you cannot have a rational conversation about where we are when you set aside COVID. Because it doesn't just stick to me. Because in 2017, 18, and 19, your economy was growing. Nothing happened. And in 2020, the economy from 6.5 dropped to 0.5%. You cannot tell me that COVID has not had an impact. It did. Okay? And then when you have that conversation, then NDC people turn around and say, but you got a lot of money. Those monies that came, those monies are not production money, because the pass-through in the economy of those monies is not the same as your own organic production. You understand?
No.
It's not. Okay, so you are gifted money, okay, to solve a problem that has come. You focus that money on that. Monies that you have generated.
But the finance minister went to parliament.
And
he told us how much money came.
Yes.
What was spent on COVID.
Yes.
And what was spent on the budget.
Yes. So you use those to
majority of the money was spent on COVID.
No, but of course the challenge is, you see, okay. When you have that conversation, sometimes I find it very difficult because the challenges that you have to deal with, okay, if you take COVID away, the economy itself would have provided the money for it. But you had a challenge with COVID, yes, because the economy was shut down, right? And you have a challenge. Those challenges are coming as a result of the environment that you're in. So the funding was targeted to do some things, right, which are budget support and dealing directly with the health issues that are associated with COVID. So you did that. Your economy, however, with those money coming, okay, your economy, however, on its own has gone down. Okay, your production has dwindled.
That money was more than your revenue projections.
Yeah.
The shortfall in your revenue projections.
But you see,
that money was more than that.
But I agree. But I'm just telling you that it is not the same thing as your economy being where it was. Because if you make that argument,
economy where it was because we were going to Eurobond market within 6 years. We have gone to the Yoruba market how many times? You tell me.
Well,
tell me how many times?
That's not even the point.
Yeah, we were just, you see, because all what we are telling everybody now today is that running an economy is about the capital market being open to you. So you go there and go and take money, and then you tax people domestically, and that's how you run economy.
No, but you see,
so once the capital market is close to you, then you are in a fix.
No,
there's nothing you can do.
No, you see,
other than just to tax anything that comes.
So that is the structure that we have operated with over time. And the proposal of the New Patriotic Party coming in 2016 is that we are going to break out of that, which is where you actually then invest in your capacity.
So what did you do? What did you do to break away from that?
Well, yes, so that's what we were doing up until 20.
What did you do?
Yes, we told you that we wanted to do production. And
so what did you do?
Yes, we invested in the industrialization project
of
the one this. Oh, I'm coming, senior. We're investing in the, no. I'm serious about this. I'm investing in the industrialization of this country, which is a process, right? When you look at the industrial evolution history in the West, it is a process. It's not an event. And so we invested in the One District, One Factory project, which was yielding results and will continue to yield results today as we sit. I should have brought you some. I think I have one. I don't know. Have you tried the Ekufi juice before, sir? It's a real thing. It's not a conceptual thing. It's real. I have a pack if I'll give you. But the point I am saying is that
forget my opportunity to.
Yeah, but see,
please round up for
me. So the point was that we're on the path, of pursuing that agenda of ensuring that our economy is not tied to taxation. So revenue, one of the streams that government gets its revenue from, not necessarily just taxing on things that are imported into this country, affecting foreign exchange position and all of that, but we are investing to produce. Today, as we speak, we have in excess of 296 or so factories that have been planted, about 130 or so of them that are operational and working. If you give that time, you get to a point where your tax will not necessarily be excessive, but you can then generate revenue from the people who are working, the industry that are producing, corporate tax, and then personal income taxes, because there's a volume of people working, the production is increasing, so that you can get that from there. So our promise to tax less has been truncated or was truncated by the headwinds that we ran into in 2020 and subsequently in 2022. So that is the problem. So now to your question, whether or not my auntie in Denu or Aplau should pay that, I'm saying that, yes, we have run into a difficulty. Which difficulty families we run into? And so therefore, it was possible at some point in time to say that let's sell this property to send Richard to school. Let's send this property to heal somebody in the hospital. When we go past this storm, we'll then be able to work to replace them. So this is not a government being unreasonable. This is a government that is run into a headwind, and that headwind is necessitating some decision. And what revenue we are collecting, it is to apply it to ourselves, to solve problems that are relative to us. So I'm not saying that pay it because we are mean or pay it because we want you to pay it. We're saying that we're in a difficulty. What do we do? The resources we can use to cure ourselves, to protect and save ourselves from this challenge must be resources that come from us. And so we collect that to try and solve the problem. When we get out of it, then we'll make sure that we'll bring it back to normal. And the evidence which you must hang your hats on is the fact that in 2017, this government made a promise in 2016 that it would abolish some nuisance taxes. When it came, indeed, we did remove those taxes and reduce the rate on some of them. So that is the proposition that is before us. And I appeal to Ghanaians that this government understands the difficulty. The challenge we are in, we understand, and the impact on people we understand. The pleading is that we are in a difficult situation. Let's weather the storm. And the same government that reduced taxes will be able to do it, because our predisposition is not to tax. Our disposition is to propel production, reduce taxes so that production can continue, and through that, government gets its revenue. So we are not the taxes. The NDC are the taxes. We are taxing today only contingent upon the difficulties that we're in. When we cross this path, Ghana, our taxes will come down. It's a pleading, and we must do it together because it's our country, and it is us who must do it, and it's us who will do it, and it's us who, in this very moment, must contribute.
Okay, please be careful when you go out in public. Just be careful.
Oh, but the point I have made
is just be careful. It's a caution from a good friend.
Richard,
I should be hiding.
Don't hide, but be careful.
Randy. Listening to Richard and seeing the steam come out from his forehead, he's blown his head gasket. He says he's blown head gasket. But Randy, it's interesting that Richard says NDC are the taxes. So NDC is the one imposing this tax.
No, they said they've become taxes out of necessity.
We didn't have necessity to tax.
Why did you have
COVID? In 2017. Ken Ofori-Atta came to Parliament and mentioned taxes, financial services tax, then led by Chairman Sam Bonsu, they will shout, abolished. They claimed they abolished 17 taxes and reviewed 4 others, 21 taxes. You asked them, what's the situation today? They've returned all those taxes at a higher level. And so it shows you the dishonesty and lack of reliability and
circumstances beyond their control.
Randy, let me read for you.
What are you going to read? The plethora of taxes?
No. Richard says they ran into headwinds in 2020 with COVID.
But before COVID, the economy was in trouble.
Randy, no. He said, I had listened to him very carefully.
I'm not saying he didn't say.
He said things were good 2017, 2018, 2019, then 2020 COVID.
Yes.
City Newsroom, a story by Marian Ansa, September 8th, 2018. 2018. Richard, drop your phone and listen. September 8th, 2018. No, he has divided attention so that he doesn't come and do this anywhere again.
No, don't worry.
Headline. Times are hard, but keep faith with MPP. Gabi tells Ghanaians. Your boss, at that time, you were at Dankwa Institute.
He wasn't.
2018. Where was he?
What date is that?
September 8th, 2018. There was no COVID. At that time, you were executive director of Dankwa Institute.
I wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't there then? Yes, that's it. Times are hard. Gabi, sit in his room. A member of the governing MPP, Gabi Asare-Chodako, has admitted that Ghanaians are still struggling to make ends meet under the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government. 2018. Look, let me give you another one, Randy.
But can I help George?
No, I don't need your help. You need help. I'm helping you. November 15th, 2018. Government isn't proud of hardships in Ghana. Ken Ofori-Atta. November 15, 2018. You have been a colossal failure. You guys have been.
Maybe you can help me. When did government set up that 40-member committee?
2019. 2019.
To check the
40-man committee to check the performance of the city. 2019. So if you sit here and try to suggest, please let me finish. After the inauguration, they never met.
They don't have a report.
From where?
Okay.
Listen, if you sit here and tell Ghanaians that we have to pay these taxes because of COVID, which Randy, I sat on this show and established that COVID, we made profit from COVID as a government. If you look at the inflows and what was spent, we made profits from COVID. And for you to sit here and say that, for you to sit, please, Richard, when we're talking, I was very quiet.
No, go ahead.
We have to go in 2 minutes.
Randy.
We have to go in 2 minutes.
Randy,
no, check
the time.
Watch. No, he's in government. So
I'm happy that Richard, for one thing, was honest in his submission. He said the economy has gone down.
But what else could he have said?
Is it not Richard Kudus He could have told us that the economy is on an upswing. But listen, he's admitted that the economy is down. And Randy,
the kudos was in all the things he said
after all the other things after he made that statement. But Randy, listen, this economy is in the mess not because of COVID. It's in the mess because all the revenues we are taking today, Randy, wait, all the revenues we are taking today is going into a black hole. Because Ken Ofori-Atta, the same Ken Ofori-Atta who wears white and quotes the Bible, has collateralized all government revenues. Basically, the GET Fund, National Health Insurance, all those revenues we are collecting have been collateralized till 2035. He's taking it up front, spent the money recklessly, and today we are paying for his collateralized debt. So we are in this mess because the factories you claim are part of your 1D, 1F have not resulted in import substitution. So you once there is no import substitution, whatever you claim your factories are producing have no impact. But I must ask you, and Randy is giving me the signal, I must ask you, what is the obsession of the NPP with fruits?
What do you mean?
Nanado came to power on the back of Calipo. Now you sit here and talk about Ekunfi juice. So now Baumia is going to drink Ekunfi juice.
We need to go.
Calipo, Randy, Calipo, crab bonnie eto. Chikwete enu akwete shi emi ne ba fe o.
Okay, let's go. We need to go. So we will end with the video. We need to go. Up next is my conversation with the Minerals Commission.
How would you respond to your critic who say that you don't have a message?
You know, when a government moves from 9 billion cedis worth of debt that we leave them in 2008, and by 2012 they are at 36 billion, and then by this year they are at 105 billion. How could there not be a message?
You talk about different economies.
You create
the economy of 9 billion, the economy of
no, I'm talking about the debt that they incurred.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they mentioned the economy of the 9 billion. That was a small economy. Now it's a huge one. No, and so they're taking more loans.
25% of debt to GDP. And now we are talking about 72% of debt to GDP.
I see.
So you have basically no fiscal space to do anything. And that's because you think you can borrow your way out of debt, which is not possible. And therefore the ideas of entrepreneurial creativity and really supporting businesses, not killing them with energy prices, inflation, devaluing currency. And those are the things that go to give economic freedom for people to operate. And I believe it is that we can bring
the currency's stability for these years, notwithstanding, you think it's a currency that's not doing well?
Well, the currency has not done well.
You have quite stable some few
it's been
months.
I mean these few months it has been quite stable, but you have moved from 1.2 to 4, unless you want to forget it, but that's real. You know, you can't brush it under the carpet. You have to accept that you came and met something and this is what you have done to it. Clearly you don't have the competence to keep an economy that stays within a certain debt to GDP model, that maintains a currency at a point in which businesses can work, that provides energy to make sure that there's productivity. I mean, the gross savings of the country has been depleted. When you run deficits of double-digit figures for about 3 years, there's no savings left. And then corporates are therefore not producing as much as they do, so they don't have savings. And individuals like you and I, you know, you get your paycheck and it's over before you can say jack. So then there's no give, and you think that you can borrow to continue. So now interest payment now constitute the second largest government expenditure. From 680 billion or so that you used to pay in 2008, you are now paying 10 billion. Okay, so you have created a situation in which things are difficult, where private sector is just aghast at what it should do, where productivity has shrunk, and therefore you are compelled to increase taxes. So it's just a very vicious cycle that you are in, and until you get a fresh look at it, you know, you are stuck and derailed.
Talking about the interest payment that you mentioned, your opponents are saying that what you're paying isn't all the loans that they
they took, and that the interest are some of the loans that your party took when you were in power some time ago.
Well, the issue for me, Bright, is if somebody says that, saying it is different from the fact.
Okay.
You know, if you were paying 680 million cedis and you are now paying, you know, literally 10 billion, which is, for interest payment, gives you no room to maneuver, and you want to blame somebody. And the question also becomes one of value for money. You know, when you have a Legon hospital of 600 beds costing $20 million, and you have a rich rehabilitation of 200 beds costing $250 million, you begin to see how you lose money. And how then, you know, these
problems. You won't care about the equipment in these facilities?
Well, I'm talking about value. 600 beds at 230 billion, new hospital, rehabilitation, you know. So we can play with the margins as much as we want. In the end, the number will be written down. And the number leads to an impractical way in which to live. You won't do that in your household. Where you just keep borrowing, and where do you go next? So then you go to your neighbor to tax your neighbor. We are being taxed. I just saw a $90 million bond that the government did. The government is paying 6%, and Ghanaians are buying it. Meanwhile, they borrowed at 10% on international market.
All right.
So many
MTN. Star Assurance, your solid partner.
Enough you guys, so continue.
Prepare yourself to unleash even more moolah by staking from 1 Ghana cedi to 350 Ghana cedis. And you could win 26 times your stake on the exciting new Pick 1 game from Game Park. Play by dialing *946# on all networks via our website or download the Game Park app on www.gameparkgames.com. Choose your Pick 1 number from 1 to 36. Place your stake and watch our live draws on Adum TV at 9 a.m., 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. daily.
Hey, live life like me with Game Park. Game Park, more moolah, more power.
This game is regulated by the National Lottery Authority, not for persons under 18. Play responsibly.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Time for our conversation with the Minerals Commission, and the CEO, Mr. Martin Ayisi, as always, is here with me on the show. Good morning, Martin.
Morning, how are you?
By the grace of God, I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well too.
Yes.
All right. So last week, we started off with a decade of the reforms in the sector, and you took us through the achievements, how far we've come. And we promised that we're going to speak about the challenges today. But for the benefit of those who may have missed last week's program, if we can just do a recap of how far we've come, especially in the last decade, with the reforms in terms of local participation and local content. Then we will zero in on the challenges.
Randy, morning, and it's great to be here again. Yes, you see, in my first encounter with you when we started this program, maybe a year ago, I said something. I think I said, practically the capital that is used to build the mine comes from outside.
Yes.
Either from stock exchanges or equity or loans raised by the various players. That's number one. And then number two, the monies will have to go back. So I think 10 years ago or before 10 years ago, we've always known that for whatever reason, the monies they pay to government, and then the monies they spend daily for their various goods and services which they use for their operations. I mean, the gap is so big. So what the commission set out to do is to conduct a research and find out what are these items that they've been using, because we realize that they far so much in terms of operational costs. So we requested for the fine details of the various goods and services they procure. Then throughout the research, of course, we work with the Chamber of Mines. We discovered that several of the goods and services and the items that they use for their daily operations can be obtained here. That's number one. Two, some of them are imported. Three, some of them, actually we can do them, but the quality is poor. So quickly we decided, okay, why don't we have a list where we can agree with industry and say that, oh, as for these ones, we have capacity, so you can't import them. And even if you have to procure them, it must come from Ghanaians as part of what we call a local content. So quickly we started with 8 items in 2014. And then over the years, we know we've been increasing the items. And then for some reason, Parliament passed a law in 2020. Other than that, we were doing it administratively. Okay? We sit down with the chamber and do it. Then, if you look at the 2012 general, regulations, there was a little bit of it. Then we decided to have a special, if you like, a separate regulation for that. So that was LI 2431 in 2020, which now said that every year, Minerals Commission, you don't need to come back to Parliament. Sit down, prepare a list which you think should cover the goods and services that mining companies should procure. So what we'll do is that when it's getting to the end of the year, we look at the reports and then look at the items. And then, because we have a research unit, and then we also do the capacity, of the companies or individuals that can supply them. So that's how we come to the conclusion that, as for these items, we have the capacity, whether it's technical, the spec, whatever. These ones, we can do them, but the quantity is not enough to supply the entire industry. So we'll say, okay, if this one we can do 5 tons and the quality is fine, but the industry needs 10, then we'll say, okay, 50% should be procured from Ghanaians. And then our job now is to advise the minister and say, that gap, because it can be done here, let's come out with policies to see how we can move from the 5 to the full 10 million tons for whatever items. We do that a lot. And then the other things too, that we are not so crazy about who does it. Rather, it should be done here. So that one, whether you're a foreigner from wherever, once you are doing it here, the argument is that you pay taxes, you employ Ghanaians, everything stays here. Maybe you can take your profit. I'll talk about that. Essentially, those in the manufacturing sector. So we've moved away from 2014 8 times 10 to 50 now. We'll do some review this year, not that much, but basically to push out the Ghanaian content, because let's say if it's 20%, we'll move to 30, if it is 40, we'll move to 50, as the reports filter through. So perhaps by February, we'll do that. So we have moved from maybe a little over or less.
And when you do that, it will take effect from when?
When we do the, ideally, we should have done that last year.
Yes.
But then we needed to check the data on one or two things. Because you see, when you go and meet industry, you need to also let them understand that this, we have the capacity, so we are not going to allow you. You look so stupid to just push something which you don't have capacity, and then it looks embarrassing. So we got to check the data. Last year, we were able to do it and publish it by 1st January. But this one, I'm taking my time because what I wanted to change, I needed to check the data very well. And then we can also take a day to meet them in December. We'll do it this February. It's not a big deal because you see, their 5-year procurement plans has been submitted already. So you don't need to also disrupt the plans. That is it. Let me read something on that. It says that if you look at Regulation 2, Sub-Regulation 2 of the Minerals and Mining General Regulations at that time, and also what has been repeated in LI 2431, it says that every company must submit a 5-year procurement plan, which, among other things, targets for local procurement covering at least the items in the procurement list. Prospect for local procurement. Listen to the last two, because that will help me when I'm explaining the challenges. Specific support to providers or suppliers. So you see, people don't even know that the mining companies are supposed to do this. We'll touch on that. Other measures to develop the supply of local goods and services, including broadening access to opportunities and technical and financial assistance. I'll discuss that within the context of the challenges. So when they prepared their 5-year procurement plan, many of them submitted it last year, around the second and last quarter. It was based on the 50 items. Okay? So they take each of the items and say, this one I'll procure 100%. This one I'll procure 80. This one I'll procure 50. Some they have no choice. If it is 100, you can't tell me that fuel you buy 70% and import the rest, or you give it to a foreigner staying here. And then we look at it and then sign off. So it means that all the mining companies, as we speak, have an agreed and signed off procurement plans with the Minerals Commission. So right now, we have just gone through the 2020.
Yeah, in approving these plans, do you make room for adjustments? Because you keep reviewing
So for example, if whatever reason, Goldfields, Newmont, or even Adamus comes and say, Minerals Commission, in my procurement plan for 2020, for this year, I indicated to the Minerals Commission that this item I'll procure 100%. I'm having some quality issues, or my Ghanaian supplier has delayed me. And if I don't do that, I'll not meet my production target. Or this particular service, if I delay, I will need to shut down my plant and then do general maintenance. So for me to come back, it will be a problem. He will give us the reasons. We will invite them, go through it. Then now we will permit him that for these reasons, you can import or get it from this other person. When they don't do that, and at the end of the year, he submits his report, which is due not later than 31st January. So by next week, many of the reports for 2023 will come through. And then what the local content unit will do is that they will take every item, look at your plan, how much you spent, okay, where you say you buy from. So at the end of the day, when we check, we realize that, oh, you have told us that you buy 90% of this locally. We check your plans, we realize that you bought 87. Can you explain why you did 3% short of the 90? Or if it's 100%, you did 95. So they bring the reasons. If it's not satisfactory, we fine them. I mean, fines could range from anything from $10,000 to $10, $20 million. The fines are so punitive that it's difficult for them to get away with it. But in the report we are discussing now, 2022, there were a few mistakes that were made by some of the mining companies.
What if the disruption, as far as their 5-year plan, is as a result of your annual review of the list?
So, for instance, it would be foolhardy on my part to do an extensive review for 2024. Or if I do it, like we did in we did a lot last year because we knew many of them were coming to do their 5-year plan. That's how come we increased the item from 41 to 50. We added 9 between 2022 and 2023. So right now, if my research unit comes to tell me that, oh, boss, this thing we should do it locally, then what we'll do is that we will tell them, let's have a meeting. So there are, by and large, 2 options. Either we say, look, we will not allow this again, but he submitted his plan already, so the contracts you have entered into, they are grandfathered. Okay? Or we will say, come and do adjustments. So we'll do a meeting before you post it on them. So I'll give you a typical example. When in 2019, we said no foreign entity or any company whose shareholders and directors, all of them are not Ghanaians, can no longer supply fuel to a mine. The question the mining, so it means that it took effect 1st January 2020. But then a lot of them have entered into contracts in the period under review. So we asked them, we knew. So we asked them, all of you bring your fuel contracts. So some were expiring, let's say March 2020, June 2020, October 2020, etc. So in that case, we will tell you, after the end of that contract, don't give it to the company again.
So you made exceptions.
So if yours is expiring March, by 1st January, between 1st January and March, you need to do the tender, advertise, and do all that. If you're having some challenges, tell us. There was a case where when we did a publication in December, 1st January, the company's contract was expiring with a foreign entity. So he said, look, can you give me 2-3 months for me to go to the tender process? Other than that, if I do that, you're going to throw me out of business. So we agree with them how to handle the new list without, disrupting their activities.
Right.
Randy, I want to make a statement and I want you to listen carefully. I'll circle back to the lithium debate. We are quick to look at royalties, shareholding, or equity interest of government, corporate income tax. By the way, our taxes in Africa are the highest in mining, and then we conclude and say that we are not getting anything. So I tell people, you can be 60%. Listen carefully to this argument. Granted that we said a way 50% to go to government of Ghana, okay, for the sake of this argument, and this is a hard truth. Maybe the other 40 or so or 50 should go to the company. Randy, you can be there, you can even be 100% shareholder. End of the year, 3, 4, 5 years, you'll not get anything. So let me give you the best example. Look at Newmont. They are building a 3rd mine, 30 kilometers north of their current operations. Most likely, getting to the end of the year, I'm advised they may commission it. Randy, they are spending close to about $1 billion. So you can imagine the amount of capital allowances that are staring at you. I don't see Newmont paying corporate income tax, perhaps 5 years, on that particular Ahafo North project. You understand that? But from 1st January to 31st December every year, until such a time that corporate income tax will be due, until such a time that they will declare profit and say, now I'm paying dividends to government, I'm sitting here that they are spending billions, millions of dollars every year to buy goods and services for Ahafo North. That is where the focus should be. Because the 2022 report, which I'm recapping now, says that they spend 33% of their total receipts in the procurement of goods and services. The figure will go up. You understand? So why are you so crazy? I'm not saying they're not important. Why are you so fixated about, go for 20% royalty, go for 30% royalty, go for 70%, what do you call it, corporate income tax, when the money is the services and goods he procures every day?
Can both be mutually inclusive?
Yeah, they can go together. But Randy, you got to choose your somebody will say you got to look at the data and then make wise decision. Apart from royalties, which is not sensitive to profit, because royalty, whether you are making profit or not, you have to pay. You understand that? You have to pay that. Apart from royalty, all the others are cost issues. So you tell me, do you go for 60% shareholding in a project where you get nothing? Or do you design your policies and programs to ensure that if the person spends $400 million in procuring goods and services, you capture 90 or 80% of that? So the two must go together. Okay? So so I'll tell you what happened in 2012. So 2012, we had this commodity super cycle. There was a mining boom from between 2010 and 11. In fact, 2011 was the best, exciting times for many of the gold mines in the world. Price were at its peak. So I think the finance minister then realized that we had certain provisions in our tax laws relating to mining that were hurting us. So, for example, they were allowed to carry losses forever. Okay? And then capital allowances. So they keep doing that. So quickly, a law was taken to Parliament and said, no, whatever capital allowances you file, you are allowed to take a quarter of that in the year of investment and within 5 years. And then you cannot carry losses forever beyond a certain point. Other than that, if he has $400 or so million, he looks at the year in which he's going to make money and then he'll set it off. So you could see operations running for 10 years, they were not declaring profits, they were not paying dividends, and the state equity was just useless. So then that was changed in 2012 to address how we can get increased government take. So it's fine now. And I'm saying we have the highest tax element when it comes to mining in Africa. Then we also discovered that no, the real meat, Gama will say, my German mayo is how much they spend every day. So if you want money to benefit this country, don't just focus on only receipts, look at the entire chain. So work on your receipts, which is fine now, get more, make sure that they don't do gold plating, they don't over. Like they what should be 2 cities, they do it 5 cities, that kind of thing. Because the more they increase their cost, the less they pay to government. So a lot of work has been done by GRA in that regard. But then also you also work on value addition. Then the other two, and for me the main thing is that I'm saying no less than a third of all the money they spend goes into various goods and services. So look at 2019, free for all fuel. The budget then was 100 million. If you look at the 2018 report, both fuel and lubricants, about $100 million. Then you bring in foreigners who also bring their capital to come and set up fuel stations and supply fuel. And then we said no. If you look at the data, this is not an activity that is so sophisticated that you have to open up for everybody. So let's protect the indigenous sector. So we said, okay, no more. Unless you're a Ghanaian citizen, unless a company is 100% owned by a Ghanaian, you cannot supply fuel. So within a spate of, and this is 2022 report, bear in mind. So within 2 years, fuel and lubricants, which was 100 million, for which the likes of Total, Engine, and Vivo were supplying, have moved from barely 100 million to 436 on fuel. If you add lubricants, you're talking about $480 million. My argument is that roughly $480 million spent by the companies to procure lubricants and fuel stayed in Ghana, went into the pocket of Ghanaians. Randy, fuel expenditures and lubricant expenditures in 2022 report is half of the total receipt of government. This is just 1-2 items on a 58 list. So it tells you that all your efforts, all your programs, all your policies, when you wake up every day, should be directing, or you should be directing them at these goods and services. Okay, the accounts will say, Ankwa, what is it that you cannot manufacture here? You should give incentives for people to manufacture. So the lithium debate, this is the kind of things we're trying to explain to people. Everybody was obsessed with royalty. They were obsessed with shareholding. Because right now, they are in the throes of doing the environmental permitting process. If all goes well and they come back to us and we issue the operating permit, they may start construction. It will take 2 years. The project roughly is going to cost 200 million. What we should be concerned about is how much of the 200 million will go into expenditures by way of goods and services, and how much of that should go to Ghanaians. So we are ready now, okay? Because they've given us in their feasibility how much they will spend on. We asked them for a breakdown of the cost of construction, what to go into the construction, okay? And by our research, we can say that this item, so for instance, they said they are going to do contract mining, okay? We know the figure. Clearly, this cannot go to a foreigner. It has to go to a Ghanaian. They will supply fuel. They will provide catering services to staff on site. Randy, they will provide medical services to the nearly 1,000 workers. And please, for medical services, it's not just the worker, your spouses and children are involved. So if you are talking about roughly 900 workers, as they are found in their feasibility, that they will be employing directly. I've not talked about contractors yet, because the catering guy, the fuel guy, the contract mining, all these guys are indirect because they will bring their workers. But direct employees, 900. Okay? You just say that, their spouses and children. So if that means that medical facilities, for example, we should be looking at, let's say, 2,000-3,000 people on site. Okay? When they do the advert, it will go to a Ghanaian. Until last year, foreign companies will take it. You can't bring a foreign doctor. You can't bring a foreign nurse because of the way our rules work. If you bring a doctor, he can only practice after he does a convention. So, Randy, these are the things that should be engaging us, or we should be discussing as far as the debate is concerned. The 200 million, how much can you preserve for Ghanaians? You see, the fuel supply, the lubricants they will use, civil works. So they're going to put up a lot of bungalows. They're going to do a lot of construction at the side there. Thankfully, last year, we now said all civil works are preserved for Ghanaians. Randy, this is the argument. Now, the first part report too has been brought now. Maybe in about 2-3 weeks, Minister will tell Ghanaians what is in there. I can tell you on top of my head what will be produced. We don't have the market. That is what the report is telling me. So quickly, before 2 years' time, okay, when the plans and the construction and development will be completed, within these 2 years, for example, that capacity that we don't have, right from this day, Minerals Commission, Minister, and other institutions should be planning, what do we do? We have to now tell people that this is available. Come, we look at the project economics, we give incentives for people to set up ceramics factory in South Point to deal with it. Other than that, if you look at the agreement, it says that it cannot be exported, first one in kaolin, and then the other byproducts cannot be exported unless minister allow. So, Randy, if we sit down for 2 years when the construction will be completed, I don't see construction starting perhaps until middle of June. So let's say 2 years from now. In their report, they said 22 months. So let's say 24 months. So within the next 2 years or so, if construction should start by, let's say, the second quarter or even third quarter, after we have gone through all the various approvals, okay, if we sit down and we don't do anything, what will happen is that come 2025, between the second quarter or the end of come 2026, okay, because we are now in 2024. So let's say 2 years from now, 2026, you just get to realize that the FESPA, they will now write to the minister to say that permit us to take the FESPA and the kaolin, which is premium, outside this country because you don't have the capacity to use a byproduct. If we do that, we have failed Ghanaians. Randy, this is all that we have been telling Ghanaians in the lithium agreement. So, Minerals Commission, my minister, we have a lot of work to do to ensure that within these 2 years, the excess capacity that we don't have, I've seen it in the report already. This is just a gist of it. How do we ensure that by 2026, Barari don't come to us and say, I got to take the FESPA out, I got to take the premium kaolin out because you don't have the capacity. That is what we are doing now. That is the argument. So that's the value addition bit. So this royalty thing, this corporate income tax thing should stop. You must, as you said, balance the entire chain. Okay? What do you do to tap into the goods and services at the mining stage? How do you ensure that the kaolin and FESPA don't go out? Okay, so right now, very soon we invite people to look at the project economics. If the power and all the associated costs is too much, then we have to look at the incentives. You understand? And so if government says, I'll give you less, I'm not saying that's what is going to happen because we are yet to come to the project economics. So if government says that, oh, okay, for a ceramics factory to be set up in Salt Pond to be viable, we have to. Fortunately, Ghanaians did the report, so it's not as if somebody is coming to lie to us. We are also passed, so we are not stupid. We need to give $50 million out in incentives. Perhaps you have to reduce power costs, reduce this, reduce that, etc. When they bring the project economics, then you have to ask yourself, if we lose $50 million every year in incentives because I have to reduce X, Y, Z, just to make sure that I get a ceramics factory, and the multiplying effect is more than $50 million, then we've gotten it right, we are there. But then if you give incentives and then what you get out of it will be far less than just having a factory, then you have not gotten it right. So we will need to gallop and double and make sure that all these things are fine-tuned within these 2 years so that we don't deceive Ghanaians. And we'll tell the true story. We'll put out the facts there that this is what it will cost to set up the factory. Do you understand? If we have been doing this thing for the past 20, 30 years, we will not be where we are. So that is that on how far we have come with the local content issue for nearly a decade. I will not even say 10 years because my latest report is 2022. So 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18 years. So 8 years. But then this January is 10 years of the reforms. A lot has been achieved. We still have a lot to do.
Let's quickly, I don't think we'll have time to go through all the challenges, but let's look at probably 2 or 3 of them. So it's on page 30. You have it on page 30.
Page 30 of the report?
Yes, of your report. It's on page 30. Okay, so I see high inflation rate, fluctuating exchange rate, disincentive to investors and local, being a disincentive to investors and local suppliers. That's the first item I see.
Yes, in high inflation rate, fluctuation exchange rate.
Yes.
And Randy, I don't want to belabor this. It's a problem for every sector, manufacturing. So let me say this, then you understand it better. So let's say if you're a local manufacturer, I'm speaking generally, not into mining, but it impacts mining. And for whatever reason, your raw material is imported. Okay? And let's say the CD is 6 cedis in January last year. And let's say, for the sake of this argument, you import 10 tons of the raw material. Okay? The same 10 tons will not be the same today.
Yes.
Because the CD is it 12 or a little over 12?
Yes.
So if you are spending, let's say, $5 million to import 10 tons of a particular raw material, you might be spending perhaps twice of that. So those who are lucky are those who get all their raw materials locally. But even that one, remember that the local producer also, provide other services and pay for various taxes and other things.
Yes.
So even if you obtain your raw material locally 100%, he will tell you that, Jack, say 5 cedis, metal or 7. Then you see that. So for us, those that are into manufacturing, that is why the items on the list that are manufactured, we are struggling to even get there, and we continue to import them because the Chinese produce it cheaply. So number one, it's a monumental issue.
Okay, I'm sure number two too is right knowledge. Relatively,
actually number two, the less said about it, the better. So for example, relative high interest rate charges by commercial banks. Yes. So if you are telling the Ghanaian, preferably our first choice would be Ghanaians, to have the opportunity to set up. So for example, if you are telling a Ghanaian who wants to now go and set up at Saltpond to use a Fespa kaolin and the other products for the ceramics factory, he will tell you that if I go to EcoBank with the rate, I cannot survive. So for example, that's how the NIF will come in and say, I'll give you the money. Okay? And take equity. You understand? So the whole idea of the MIF coming into the whole picture is this whole thing that we are looking at. So why should Randy Ceramics Limited go and take, I don't know what the interest rate is, go to EcoBank and go and take that high interest rate? But then maybe for a $50 million ceramics project, or maybe let's say $300 million. But MIF can say, here you are, I'm giving the 300 million.
But there's so much MIF can do.
Yeah, there's so much they can do with our money. You understand? There's so much. And these are the things I want people to hear. Other than that, the project will not be viable. You understand? You cannot ask anybody to go and borrow at this commercial rate, or you have to go to, let's say, GIF. Or those incentives under 1DF. So, for instance, after the end of the project economics, if we need to make sure that, look, this is viable, if we do X, Y, Z, and we tick all the boxes, we can say, okay, 1D, 1F, Saltpond, ceramics factory, you get all these incentives because they are located in perhaps not in an Emba area, or we are making a conscious effort to develop a rural economy. So these are the kind of things. So you see, at a point in time, it will not be just Minerals Commission and my minister who got to approach the Minister of Finance. We got to go to the Minister of Trade and say, look, you also need to look at this for us, for the factory to be viable. It will be viable, but maybe, okay, Minister of Energy, they can't pay power at these kilowatt cents. So there's a lot of work to be done. Right. So people were just rushing and looking at equity, looking at royalties and taxes. They were getting it wrong.
Okay, so there's a lead time stroke delivery, inability to deliver within the required time.
So Minerals Commission gets up and say, this particular item, if you are not a Ghanaian incorporated company registered with Minerals Commission and all your shareholders and directors are not Ghanaians, you cannot supply it. There are about 4 or 5 of them. So there's no monopoly. You are servicing over maybe 20 plus companies. Then Goldfish gives you a contract. Goldfish has no problem with your quality. But he needed the grinding media or steel balls or whatever by 14th March because he needs to take advantage of his production target. Now gold price is very high. 14th March, you have not delivered. You brought the items perhaps a week after. Okay? And price of gold can even fall by $100 in a day. So they sometimes complain to us. And then we call the registered companies and give them warning that, look, so sometimes if you realize that, no, you cannot deliver within 2 weeks, the company will rush to Minerals Commission and say that, Minerals Commission, Randy Enterprise has just told me that he will fail me. He cannot deliver this on schedule. I'm afraid I need to reach this production target. So allow me for an Indian or a Turkish or a Chinese company to deliver it. Sometimes they do it at extra cost and even DHL the items. So we've also been telling the Ghanaians that, look, you come and sit on our neck and say, we have the capacity. So when the companies complain, it's not just delivery. Sometimes the quality, sometimes the specs, etc. So we normally do what do you call it?
Because you have, as one of the challenges, concerns about quality of certain
quality by and large has improved a lot because of the engagement. Mincom, the companies, and then the mining companies. And if you look at the procurement law too, they are supposed to assist. But a few still have quality issues.
You sanction these local companies who are unable to deliver within the required time frame and also have concerns with their quality. I ask this because there are actions can also undermine the whole policy.
Yes, so Randy, once we exact serious fines on the mining companies for supplying 98%, when you said in your approved procurement plan you do 100, and we punish you and ask you to pay $2-3 million for the 2% you fail, it is, we don't find the supplier. But then my disappointment is that now the mining company will come and crown me and say, AEC or Minerals Commission, give us a permission to import. It defeats all our efforts to ensure that we keep the money here. So I get disappointed in that bit. And so that is it. They'll come. They'll just come and tell you.
You don't want some of these companies. You don't threaten to blacklist them.
It does happen. So that's not the only thing. And sometimes the local people overcharge.
Okay.
So you say, but they have.
Competitive.
So there's a case where company came and was trying to give the company to a company in Turkey. Then the Ghanaian company came to me and complained. There were about 3 or so. They participated in the bid. So I called a meeting. That's part of our job. And then the company was honest and showed me everything, because we have the power to request for it. The bidding process, the price quotation, and all those things. We did this in camera. And then I realized that the company had a case. Okay? The same quality, the same thing from Turkey, and even they came 3rd and 4th. So I had to now call the 3 Ghanaian companies and say, have you looked at it? Do you have a case? They said, oh, yeah. So now the company had to bend backwards and say, if you can match the price, because fortunately they have not signed a contract. If you can match the price, they will give you the job. So I had to intervene, and then we called up the Chinese and the Turkish one. So I am tired of doing that.
But by the first 2 challenges,
the issue was not about quality. So this one went through.
Yeah. So I'm saying that by the first 2 we looked at, which has to do with the high inflation rate, fluctuating exchange rate, relatively high interest rates, will it not be difficult for many of these Ghanaian companies to compete with these Turkish and Indian and Chinese companies?
You have made my day. It is so tough, very tough. So the little I can do on my side or Mincom side, we're doing. So for instance, a Ghanaian will walk to you and say, oh, Master, this is your money for registration fees and other things. I don't have it. I'm just a new entrant. So waive it for, no, we don't waive. I can pay you maybe $1,000 CD equivalent. Let me go and do the job and come back. So where,
flexible payments.
So where Mincom on its own can make life a bit better for the Ghanaians to enter, we will do that. But some of the things are beyond me. So I cannot go and tell the Ghana Commercial Bank, because they also tell you they are operating within the financial environment. So perhaps there are ideas like, can we get some special incentives? Can we have a dedicated bank for all these things? You understand? So can the likes of you or your colleagues who have money come in and put in money? Not to come and tell me that if I have $5 million, I'll go and buy real estate at cantonments, expatriate to come and buy it. And then you see me on the street and tell me foreigners are taking our properties away. But now, Randy, trust me, Ghanaians now understanding mining. They are taking a lot of risks. And those who took the risk 5-6 years ago are now the richest people in town. So that is also that I want you to understand.
So let's end today here, and we'll continue with the challenges next week, because there are still a lot of issues that we have to deal with. Thank you so very much. As always, a pleasure having you here. And so we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Let me say a happy birthday to Mrs. Diana Kutoche Dogbe of Kwando. Today is your birthday, so happy birthday to you, Mrs. Diana Kutoche Dogbe, from your brother Eric Sedi Kutoche, and of course Pastor James, Uncle Goodwill, and all the Dentu supporters of Heart of Lions at Kwando. So happy birthday to you. So up next, Metro Sports.
Good Morning Ghana is brought to you by
MTN.
More than 80% of global trade is